she wanted to take some pictures. So I had to do the fake, I'm doing a talk show while she was snapping photos yesterday. I did get a kick out of her. We made a comment about, how many, we were just talking the Olympics. I said, yeah, I go, Southwest Florida is the best ratings in the country with Minneapolis. She goes, well, that's because they're all old. I said, yep. She responded with, she goes, well, our Facebook audience is all women over 50. So you got to know who you're speaking to. How about the choke job by the U.S. and the one after it, though? You got the hammer. You can't throw that much of a terrible, terrible rock Canada relief. And you hate America. So, I mean, I'm starting to understand where you're coming from. Your hatred for the U.S. comes out every day with your Olympic comments. You're cheaters. You're cheaters and you don't tip.
Canada relief. Watch it. Because his Canada bias, and he'll get specific about Toronto. Look out.
Well, and the problem is that it is a dilemma. And I like the Tkachuk brothers, but Matthew Tkachuk is beyond dirty.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this hump day as we make our way through February. Hope your week is going well. Thanks for being with us. The heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Got to admit, don't know how much longer I'm going to keep doing that. People are commenting very all over the map, whether they like it, really like it, don't like it at all.
Maybe it's a poll question. Maybe we leave it up to the audience.
I'm fine with that.
I sense that you want to be done with it.
No, it's not that.
There are days that you do.
No, I just sense that, that started in one specific market. And for whatever reason, that market was fine with it. And now we're, for 2 hours, we're in 6 markets. And for 3 hours, we're in 5 markets. And I just don't know, the folks in the other markets, I think they're like, what the hell is that? Okay, is that necessary? So that's all.
I mean, it's not like you slept with your sister-in-law.
Right. Boy, I haven't even told my wife that story.
No,
she's not. Things aren't. It's been a rough week. That's got to be at the right, moment, because she'll immediately she'll look at me. She'll think about, my sister-in-law, and then So she'll look at me like, no. It's just she won't roll with it.
Gotcha.
No,
for those that don't know, Major League Baseball Player Association former president Tony Clark resigned yesterday because, he was sleeping with his sister-in-law and was caught.
That's got to make for awkward holidays going forward, doesn't it?
Right, particularly if somehow, some way, one of the marriages stays together. Because you can't think that both are going to stay together, but one could possibly stay together.
That could be a poll question right there. Tony Clark.
Would you sleep with your sister-in-law?
No. Okay. How many of the marriages do you think survive? 0, 1, or 2? That's nasty. That's inappropriate.
Not really.
I apologize.
I wouldn't if I were you.
Okay.
I do love that the Players Association put out a statement. And in the statement, well, all they really addressed was that the solidarity of our membership, we have a long history of fighting for the rights of every player, and we're committed to making sure we can continue that fight successfully.
You just said nothing. If you're going to say nothing, don't release it.
Thank you.
Don't release it. Okay. You know, yeah, we got it. You're still the Major League Baseball Players Association. You'll find another leader. Until you do, you don't have to say anything.
I mean, really and truly, it starts out with the MLBPA announced today Tony Clark has resigned as executive director. End it right there. If you're going to put out a little statement, it said when he started, who he took over for, the search for a new director continues. End it.
Yeah.
End it.
We're still keeping on. Everything's, nothing's changed. Well, it will, but we're okay.
Now, don't you think, and I know they won't, David, but if you and I were representing the owners, and in the first sit down with the union for the CBA, the first face-to-face, which one of us, you or I, would go, where's Tony?
I have to admit, I'm kind of liking your sister-in-law poll question. It's very snarky, though.
Would you sleep with your sister-in-law?
Well, no. Tony Clark had to resign as executive director of the MLBPA because he slept with his sister-in-law. Would you sleep with your sister-in-law?
Right.
I love the fact that Paula in our Twitch chat room goes, now the funny thing is, okay, my sister-in-law's named Paula.
So the baseball season's off to a hell of a start.
Well, it really is. Joe Shad threw an interesting poll question out there yesterday, especially considering he's a Dolphins beat writer, but he's all wrapped up in this baseball thing. He thinks the sport needs a cap, and he thinks that, they have to shut it down and shut it down for a long time, shut it down. That, it's no good without a cap. And he asked a poll question basically asking you, how long of a shutdown would you be okay with?
In order to get a cap? Because you're right. If we were to put a poll question out there, should baseball have a salary cap, it would be similar to the inject yourself poll question. It would be 87, 88% that would be for a cap. I mean, we've done it before over the years. Our audience has long been for a salary cap in baseball. I like where his direction is. Just how long,
right? And
would you be willing to miss baseball essentially in order for the league to get a cap?
Yeah, and that's exactly what his poll question was. And it was, were you willing to miss no time at all? Nope. I sat through this already. I'm not doing it again. Is it, for the greater good? I could miss half a season. We could start this sucker at an all-star break. I'd be okay.
Or the whole thing.
Or the whole kit and caboodle. And I'm willing to be, and I think it's the hockey fan in me. Okay. And if you think about it, that was remarkable. Okay. Hockey was more of a niche sport 22 years ago than it is now. And they shut down for a year, and came back. And the fans were, I don't want to say happy, but the fans kind of sided with the league. Not even kind of. They sided
with the league. They certainly did. And it was interesting to me because I was in minor league hockey and I just left the International League to work in the East Coast League. I got a full-time play-by-play gig instead of doing color for the Atlanta Knights, which was Tampa's #1 farm club at the time.
Right.
And that strike crushed the IHL. The IHL decided during that strike, lockout, whatever, to sign NHL players that were not under contract, free agent NHL players. That a team in Detroit had some great players on their team that year. I think Vegas had some great players on their team that year, and the NHL didn't like it. And it kind of ruined their AAA status along with the American League. And it ended up being, to me, the demise of that league that I grew up watching. That's the team that I grew up watching in Saginaw, Michigan, the Saginaw Gears, and going back to the old I. And, some of those teams are now in the ECHL. A couple of them are in the AHL, but that league is gone.
However, for the two leagues that have affiliations with the NHL, the AHL and the ECHL, it was a boon.
Yes.
Okay. That was the best talent that's ever been at those levels. I mean, you were with the Everblades, and they literally had a defenseman on their team whose name is on the cup. Okay. When they made it to the finals.
You're talking 94, 95.
No, I'm talking 05.
Okay.
Shane Knighty was a defenseman on the Blades when they went to the Kelly Cup Finals in 05, and his name's on the cup with the Bruins. I mean, and so in the AHL and the ECHL, it worked out okay. In fact, it worked out pretty good, but you're right. It ruined the eye, but amazingly, the NHL fan base, a hardcore but niche sport, they were fine. They decided on their own. So, okay, we sacrificed a year. What did we sacrifice it for? Well, this is the cap. This is how it goes. It's a hard cap. Everybody plays by the same rules. Okay, and they changed the product on the ice and made it significantly better.
No, there's no doubt there. The product on the ice, they got rid of the old school neighborhood play for David in baseball. I mean, the things that were penalties that were accepted as defense, basically sticking your stick in the side of a guy and riding him down the boards, they started calling. And it changed the way the game was played. It opened it up. It made it faster. Obviously, they took the red line out. They brought back the touch-up offside. And the game was significantly better because of the rule changes they were allowed to get through while they were going through getting a salary cap into the league.
And I'm just wondering, because right now, the fan, every survey that's done, the fan, because they live by a cap in the other major sports, the baseball fan is like, well, yeah, I put it into mine too. Now, a Dodger fan and a Yankee fan, a Met fan, we don't know if they're for it, but the overwhelming 70% roughly of every baseball fan's survey that I've seen is in favor of a cap. Well, then doesn't that mean for one of the very few times, if there's a strike/lockout, that when it begins, the fan is going to be on the side of the teams?
I think there's no doubt here. And this is why we collectively now for months have begged the owners to get on the same page.
Yes.
Get out in front of this, because what's preventing this right now are the owners. You want to put all of the pressure on the players to accept this cap. And in order to do that, the owners have to figure out whatever it is they want to do and be one unit, because right now they're not.
And the owners have a lot of facts on their side. I mean, Rob Manfred can look at the players as a group and say, I understand you don't want the cap. You do know your salaries are growing the least compared to the other major sports. They're growing at a bigger percentage than you. Their leagues are growing at a bigger percentage than you. They get lucrative TV deals, more lucrative every single time. We're getting less lucrative TV deals. All right. It's not working. They actually have a lot of facts on their side, Mark. But I'm just curious. I mean, as a fan, and if you're an older fan, you've lived through it in baseball, you lived through it in football, you lived through it in hockey, you've even had a couple partial strikes in basketball. How much time you willing to miss next year? None? Half? All of it? I like it.
Bob Pockrass will join the show today to talk a little NASCAR. Seth Everett in his weekly spot, and Brandon Warne covers the Twins. All ahead. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Get ready, Southwest Florida. The Southwest Florida Ag Expo is back. Now's the time to save big with the Mega Pass. Your all-in-one ticket to the fun, one low price. Get your one-day admission and unlimited midway rides. Mega Passes available online through February 26th at swflagexpo.com. Don't wait. Grab yours. Get ready for roots, rides, and real fun. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I thought the person up there made a good point. I don't know who it was that a year without baseball, college baseball, NIL baseball could get silly. I think that's a fair point. So my kid was honked yesterday, David.
Why is that?
Because apparently ECU got off to a bad start, which he's already upset about. But they played Campbell last night, and Campbell conveniently had a weekend starter to play the midweek game. And they haven't beat Campbell in 4 years. It's a pretty juicy rivalry.
Yeah, that's that's where you just walk across and tell the coach, we're not going to schedule you anymore. You're going to do this. This is crap.
And they lost 2-1.
There's a code.
They're
you know
right.
That.
Right.
There's a code.
Paula, absolutely. When I played Pebble many, many years ago now, I played as a single. I got paired up with 3 guys. Funny, ironically, last name Miller of 2 of them. It was a dad, his son, and his soon-to-be son-in-law. And they obviously all knew one another, but they brought me in. We had because we walked. You have caddies. So you spend the whole time. It's, a much more pleasant experience with a caddy than it is in a cart from a camaraderie standpoint. We had a great time. The old man bought me a drink. They actually invited me the next day to play Spyglass. And I had a work thing to do, which really sucked. Looking back, I should have blown off the work tournament and played Spyglass.
Yes, you should have. Yes, you should have.
The sun shot 79. I do remember that. I shot 89. Yeah, I shot 89 at Pebble. I broke 90. I was very pleased with myself. Had to make par on 18 to do it.
Oh, there you go.
I only made 2 pars and a birdie. I parred 6, got up or 7. I got up and down out of the bunker. I hit it a little left. I parred 18 and I birdied 11. And then I just made a lot of it is so damn hard on that course to get up and down. I don't think people realize how flippant, and I know these guys are great that do what they do. But you miss a green there to make those greens are so small, so small.
Apparently, because of the wind last week, that those greens were like 9 on the stem meter.
Oh,
That's how slow they were.
I've got something here unless you have something important.
No, at some point, because actually the reason I booked Pockrass is today's 25 years since Earnhardt died.
I know. I actually know it just because of today was a day.
So no, go for it.
I have 2 fun stories today, David.
Okay. We could all use some fun. This just in. Michigan's really good.
My goodness, are they good? I mean, you have to play so well against them to beat them.
Now, I will say, when they're going to shoot 50% from inside the arc and 57% from beyond the arc, they ain't losing to anybody in college.
But they got so many offensive rebounds. It was like a Duke game to me back in the day. They'd miss a shot and they just get the rebound, and guys are wide open for threes because they're crashing the boards. But they're fast. They play good defense. They can shoot really well. They pass really. I mean, the pick and roll game that those guards have is really good, David.
Best stat of the night because they were +8 on the boards, but they made 30 buckets in the game with 24 assists. That's 80% of your buckets are assisted. That's exceptional. Yeah, you're just going to have to hope that you catch.
They have a bad shooting night, and you got to dominate the boards.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Full show lined up for you on this hump day. Bob Pockrass will join us about an hour and 15 minutes. It was 25 years ago today that, as Mike Helton said, we lost Dale Earnhardt. Seth Everett for his weekly visit. And we're trying to pop in on a baseball team a day. Brandon Warne will have us pop in on the Twins, who got some awful news yesterday. All right, so that's our show. Besides everything else going on in the sports world, a snarky poll question or two, and there you go. Call it a show.
I'll get that poll question up here in a minute because I do like that one.
Take your time.
There are a couple of stories that I've noticed in the past few days, and I didn't get to this yesterday, David. And the team doesn't matter, but the story's hysterical. This comes from Canadian junior hockey.
All right.
Canadian junior hockey, particularly pre-NIL, is where you go to get to the National Hockey League. And it still really is. But without NIL, Gavin McKenna would be playing Canadian junior hockey. He'd be in the Western League. But this is about one of the most storied junior hockey franchises in the sport, the Oshawa Generals. They've won 5 Mem Cups, Memorial Cups, maybe the hardest trophy to win in the sport of hockey. It really and truly is, because you only have so many cracks at it. And they've won 13 Ontario League championships. I mean, they're an amazing team. Guys like, you've heard a couple guys that have played for them. Or Lindros, Dave Anderchuk, Alex Delvecchio. I mean, this is a great franchise. Did you see the letter that they sent to their season ticket holders?
Ooh, they sent a letter?
They sent a letter
to love
their
it.
Season ticket holders.
I love it when organizations send letters to their fan bases. My team did that like 8 years ago. The letter. Ooh, what did it say?
In fact, it was an email, so I apologize. It was an email.
It's the same. Come on, keep it up with the times.
Sent by Jason Hickman, who is the team's director of ticket sales and service. Apparently, fans were complaining about the foul odor of other fans. And in the email, it read, if you went to the gym or did something that produced body odor, please shower before attending the game.
Okay.
These small actions make a big difference in keeping our community healthy and our events running smoothly. Be mindful of personal cleanliness while sharing our space with fellow fans. Needless to say, it did not go over well.
Wasn't
when you
well
call your
received?
season ticket holders smelly. Now, David, I've worked in the front office of quite a few hockey teams, 4 to be exact. I've participated in many a fan forum.
Yes, you have.
One of my favorite things in the world.
And by favorite, you mean one of the 5 least favorite things you've ever done.
Oh, no. See, different for me because I remember, I was never a fan from a hockey standpoint of one of our coaches. I thought the team did not produce as well as it should have because of the coach.
Oh,
and I was also partial to the assistant coach, who was a friend of mine and was never given his shot at coaching the team and did a lot of good work and was passed over.
Okay.
And we had a fan forum that was supposed to be, a kumbaya. And remember, this is a minor league hockey team that is selling out every game.
Right.
I mean, at this point, the fan base was doing an amazing job. And, well, they weren't happy with the play on the ice.
Oh.
And they let the coach and GM have it. And I'm the guy walking up and down the stands with the microphone saying, I've got Phil here from Estero. What's your question? And he is just laying into the GM and the coach. And at that point, you can't stop it.
Right.
You can't just say this is over and walk away. Once you open the mic up,
right,
you've got to continue on until everybody gets their 2 cents in. And boy, oh boy, I mean, I'm trying not to laugh holding the microphone. I thought it was hysterical. But in that time, having been a part of those with that team and one other team, I don't ever recall a fan saying, people next to me smell.
Right.
And apparently there were enough complaints in Oshawa that the season ticket director felt the need to send an email to tell the fan base to shower.
It would be something if later in the season you had deodorant night.
I mean, the marketing guy in me is all
Dove
soap.
Come on, don't you have to have a potpourri night?
Absolutely.
Right.
Cologne night. I mean, it's endless where you could go from this. But yes, the Oshawa Generals have smelly fans. That's a new one for me.
That is. The team stinks, but you guys stink more.
And remember the other part of this too, is that there is no odor on this planet. None. I'm telling you right now, there is not flatulence. There is not food that's been left in a cupboard. There is nothing that smells quite as bad as hockey equipment.
Nothing.
It's a smell that if you've smelled it right now, when I say that, if you're like a hockey dad or a hockey mom, you're going, oh yeah.
Your car's ruined. Your car's ruined. Don't spend big money on a car if you're going to be a hockey mom or a hockey dad, because once the equipment goes in the back, the car's ruined.
Over.
Yeah.
So that combination really made me giggle.
Okay.
So the other one I did you see what happened yesterday with IMG?
No.
IMG was let me get this so I do it right, but they were fined $1.7 million.
What?
By the
whom?
Department of Treasury.
Oh my goodness. That vaults way over the FHSAA. Holy
Thank you.
blank.
Thank you. Accepting tuition fees for 2 students whose parents are linked to Mexican drug cartels.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
Now, it comes out that the students paid. It did not say the student's name because they're underage, so they didn't out the students, and they didn't say what sports they played. But do you want to take a stab at what tuition is at IMG?
Well,
because I do know there are 2 private schools in the Naples-Fort Myers area that are around $30K. They're the 2 most premier private schools in the area, and it's like $30,000 to send your kid there. You want to take a stab at IMG's tuition?
I before you went through that, I was going to guess 60.
Yeah, add a little bit more because the tuition amount was between $97,867 to $102,235 per academic year.
How do we get
$100,000
okay
to go to IMG
How
so
do you
that they can have a football team all on scholarship.
How do you get to 1.7 million though for two kids? I mean, if each kid's $100,000 per year, if they go 4 years, I mean, help me out here.
But
Isn't
they
that-
pumped them. They pumped them because they didn't do any background checks. They didn't have any. They didn't know that these kids were tied to Mexican drug cartels, and that's a no-no
Okay.
with our federal government.
Okay,
David.
hold on a second. All right. How is the person who's involved with getting people into IMG supposed to know that the parents of the two parents and the kids sitting in front of them in the room, that dad's involved with a Mexican cartel? I mean, come on.
Really? You're siding with the kids here in the school? No. At
how?
IMG, they don't know where the parents are coming. They can't do a simple background check and say, "Oh, it looked like this guy's been slinging blow for the last 10 years for the Mexican drug cartel." No.
You think that comes up on Google?
I think a place like IMG has a really good idea where all the parents are from. When you're charging $100,000 to go to school, this isn't like Three Oaks Elementary, for crying out loud.
What private school cares about the parents' background if their kids can play sports and their parents can pay the tuition? Seriously, you and I are Catholic, for goodness sakes. When's a Catholic school ever cared what the parents did if they could pay and the kids were good?
1.7 million, David. 1.7 million.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea, and by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Hey, Southwest Florida, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. For you that haven't tried us yet, you gotta get in here and try my favorite 5 Chicago-style sandwiches. I got the Italian beef, I got the Italian sausage, the sausage and beef, the Maxwell Street Polish, and our soon-to-be famous breaded steak. Call us at either one of our locations in Bonita Springs and Fort Myers. Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced jardiniere.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I did put up, would you sleep with your sister-in-law question. It's up.
Oh my goodness.
New Chick-fil-A location potentially coming to Alico Road. There's already one on Alico Road. How many Chick-fil-A's do we need on Alico Road, for Christ's sake? Well, I mean, come on. What the hell? So I talked to PK. I text PK yesterday out of the blue because I was trying to go through my phone. I was bored, and I was just deleting group text and text. I'm like, years of text on my phone, and I'm deleting a bunch of crap. And PK was down. I hadn't texted with PK in a year and a half. I'm like, how the hell are you? And so he called me and told him what was going on. But he hates Brett Hall. Hates Brett Hall. Well, Brett Hall in a pickup game broke PK's face mask with a slap shot, knocked him out cold, never bothered to call and check on him. He thinks he's a phony. He thinks he's a fraud, and he's got a lot of reasons behind it. But I was saying, I got to admit, though, even with that, because I've seen these clips from his podcast. His podcast, those clips, I don't know if you ever caught any of those.
Yeah, no, they're funny.
He, Garth Butcher, and I forgot the other one. They're hysterical. The stories, those are the guys that said, and they all say it to a man. Look at these guys now; they're better players. They're in better shape. They're better players than we were. There's no way they had more fun than we did. But I sent one to my buddy Kim, who I worked with in hockey, because Link was about Link Gates. Link was a madman. Link's gone. Link was a tough guy, a lot of talent, but there were a lot of problems with. They called him the missing link.
Gotcha.
He's up with San Jose. Chelios is telling the story. And here comes Link Gates as the Blackhawks are getting ready for practice in the Cow Palace. Comes running through, throws his car keys to one of the Blackhawks players, continues to run, and all of a sudden here come 3 cops after Link.
Yeah. They ain't living like that these days.
And, Link throwing TVs out windows and hotel rooms. And he was in Nashville before I got there. And the broadcaster was scared to death of him. He would threaten the broadcaster every day.
Oh my goodness!
He was a mean man. You were scared to be his roommate.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Bob Pockrass will join us in an hour. Seth Everett, top of the 8 a.m. Eastern hour. And Brandon Warne in a couple hours. We'll talk some Twins. They got some bad news yesterday. We'll get to that eventually because it's time now for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is The Starting Five.
Brought to you by Lee County, Florida, the home for Twins and Red Sox spring training. Lee County, building a better community through BST. To them, it stands for Business, Sports, and Tourism. For February and March, it just stands for beautiful spring training, busy spring training, bustling spring training. BST. Let's start with baseball. Major League Baseball Players Association Executive Director since 2013, Tony Clark, resigned. They claim it was amid a federal investigation into the MLBPA. Various reports said, well, he resigned because apparently he had an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law. Don't be surprised if you find out more in this federal investigation about the MLBPA. That's all I'm saying. No new leadership has been picked at this time. Players all met via Zoom yesterday. They'll figure it out in the coming days. Mentioned the Twins got bad news. Righty starter Gabby Lopez has a tear in his UCL, in his pitching elbow. Yeah, he done. There's going to have to be surgery on that. And he done for the year. So only 75 innings out of Lopez last year. They'll get nothing out of Lopez this year. Walker Buehler spent all those years with the Dodgers, 1 year with the Red Sox. Now he's signed up with the Padres. And he said, got to admit, 5 years ago, never thought I'd be wearing this jersey. Got to get used to this color. NASCAR. If there is a Dale Earnhardt fan in your life, today is a very solemn day. It's the 25th anniversary of Earnhardt's passing at Daytona. Bob Pockrass to join us about where the sport is now versus where it was then and that fateful day. Huge night in college hoops. First off, top-ranked Michigan looking every bit like the best team in the country. In fact, looking so good, you're trying to think of who in the world could give them a game in the final. They're looking like UConn 2 years ago good. Michigan.
I'm even more excited to watch Duke Saturday against Michigan because Duke's good. They're really good. They've got elite players. Yes. And it's a neutral site game. I'm fired up to watch that game Saturday.
Michigan went into Mackey Arena in West Lafayette, Indiana. By the way, one of the best college basketball venues in the country. Gets overlooked. It's clearly top 5. I've been to Cameron. I've been to Allen Fieldhouse. Okay. Mackey is amazing. The student section is huge and loud, but respectful. Place is always packed. It's beautiful. You ever get a chance to take in a game at Mackey Arena, go. Michigan went and dominated the Boilermakers. They led by 16 at the half, 6 in double figures, 24 assists on 30 made baskets. Michigan beat Purdue at Purdue 91-80, and Purdue's ranked 7th in the country.
And it wasn't that close.
No, it wasn't. Wasn't this close in Gainesville either. The 12th-ranked Gators toyed with South Carolina 76-62. The problem is they didn't cover, but they did toy with them. Man, was it a bad night to be a ranked team on the road. 9th-ranked Nebraska lost at Iowa 57-52.
By the way, Iowa, get a grip. I am so embarrassed for your entire state, and particularly your men's basketball team at the University of Iowa. When you stormed the court after beating Nebraska in basketball? Are you effing kidding me? You didn't beat Duke. You didn't beat Michigan. You didn't beat Michigan State. You didn't beat Purdue. You beat Nebraska.
Okay. It's funny you went on that diatribe. So, granted, an Iowa person, but he said, the last couple of years of Fran McCaffrey were miserable. Iowa fans didn't want him to be their coach anymore. They were miserable. The students weren't into it, etc. Okay, this guy made the case of it looks bad, but trust me, we haven't had a court storming in a while. We haven't had the students excited about this program in a while. We needed a court storming. Okay, can we get a mulligan? Is what the guy was basically saying.
Now it's their first win against a ranked team in a long time. a few years actually,
Right.
but it was
So-
Nebraska.
I
And by the
understand.
way, you were favored to win the game. It's not like it was an upset.
Texas Tech ranked 13th in the country, double-digit favorite, lost at Arizona State 72-67. We commented before the game, why is North Carolina State a 5.5-point favorite at home against North Carolina? Well, because NC State beat the 16th ranked Tar Heels 82-58. Damn. 18th ranked St. Louis went on the road in Rhode Island, lost 81-76. We called this one. 21st ranked Louisville going to SMU. Give it up to SMU. They beat them 95-85. Wisconsin, they just get ranked. They've had all these quality wins. But we said Ohio State needs to beat them if they're to have any shot at getting a bid. Ohio State took down Wisconsin 86-69. But give it up to Miami of Ohio. On the road in the MAC against one of the better teams in the MAC. And they improved to 26-0 with a win and a cover in Amherst against UMass 86-77. Listen, if they complete a regular season unbeaten, I don't care who they played. You got to put them in the tournament. Do we really
agree,
need
David.
to see?
I
do we
agree.
really need to see the 10th place team from Pick the Power Conference? Like, they haven't had enough opportunities. I mean, come on. Isn't this a more interesting tournament? This is a TV show, right? We can't. Miami of Ohio with one loss? Come on.
And I'd love to see it, and they're not going to get it, but I'd love to see them in an 8-9 game. They'll probably get a 12-5 game, and they'll be the 12.
Miami won their second straight 1-point game, this time edging Vatech at home 67-66. You know, the Canes are 21-5.
What's more impressive than that, David, is the shot of the student section all running out of the game after they won because the baseball team was in extra innings.
Against
That's
UCF.
a cool thing to me. Just from a hey,
is.
and we can go sit in the parking garage and see the baseball stadium and watch the last inning. I loved it.
And they won on a 2-run homer walk-off in the 13th over UCF, 8-7. Speaking of UCF, they snapped the 3-game skid in hoops. They beat TCU at home 82-71. Florida State was down 10 at the half. Robert McCray, a transfer from Jacksonville, scored 27. The Noles got to 500 with an 80-72 win over Boston College. Remember all the drama at K-State and former North Florida coach Matt Driscoll's the interim coach for the rest of the year? They had one Big 12 win all season. They whacked Baylor at home last night, 90-74. And this is how good of a man Matt Driscoll is. He's as good a person as I've ever met in 40 years of sports. All right. After the game, Matt Driscoll had a chance to lobby for himself to become coach. All right. And Matt Driscoll said, yeah, Jerome Tang and I are thick as thieves. He's a great man who did great things here at K-State. And if that disqualifies me, well, so be it. Good for Matthew Driscoll.
I don't remember who it was, but on one of the halftime shows, they were talking specifically about Driscoll. And, he's really good friends with Tang. How is this going to work out? And the analyst, former player, coach, whatever, went on and on about what a class act Driscoll was and how long he's coached. And it's like, basically, it's a fair question. They're bringing up some controversy. It's TV after all. But he basically said, shut up. And he did it in a very elegant way.
I had to deal with Matt for 15 years doing ASUN basketball, win or lose. He was the same guy. He was very effusive in his praise of the opponent. Okay. Even when the opponent beat him. And a quick personal story. My daughter went to North Florida. First day of orientation, Matt Driscoll climbed on the roof of like this triangle dorm complex and talked and gave a 10-minute inspiring speech to all the students and then gave out his cell phone number to all the students and said, if my son goes here, if you guys ever need anything, we'll take care of you. You're one of us. Call. Never seen anything like it. Quickly, NFL. Mike Evans, through his agent, says, I'm playing a 13th season. Where? To be determined. Tampa Bay still the leader in the clubhouse. They're going to get first and last shot, but he is going to entertain offers. Green Bay special teams coach Rich Bisaccia resigned. Long snapper J.J. Jansen returning for his 18th year with the Carolina Panthers. He's already played in 277 games. He's 40. Olympics, U.S. won 2 silver medals yesterday, one in freestyle skiing. By the way, we're getting some bad judging. Okay, do you think there's a little something going on with us? Okay, that Europe not liking our current president is affecting the judging that's going on. We're getting the short end of a lot of these judging contests. American freestyle skier did something that's never been done in the sport and finished second. Finished second in men's team pursuit and speed skating as well. U.S. with 21 medals, 6 gold, 10 silver, 5 bronze.
More importantly, the men and women both lost in curling. The men losing to Italy yesterday, and the women blowing a match today against Great Britain, giving up 2 in the final end to lose when we had the hammer.
That's unbelievable. You're never supposed to give up a point when you have the hammer,
let alone 2.
Michaela Schifrin, last shot in these Olympics, and this is her event. She's clearly the best slalom skier in the world, maybe the best of all time. This is it, Michaela. And 3 o'clock today on NBC, U.S. and Sweden in men's hockey. Mark, we've played Sweden 8 times over the last 46 years. Do you know how many times we've beaten them? 0.
1? Oh, boy.
0.
Now, Sweden played yesterday to get into this game, beating Latvia. So they did play yesterday. This is back-to-back for the Swedes. Should be an advantage for the Americans.
Should be.
Oh, you lose, and you're done.
These are the quarters. You lose, no medal. Bye-bye, so long, farewell. Meanwhile, if the U.S. and Canada win, they look as if they're going to have cupcakes in the semis. Okay, tough draw for the U.S. here. Sweden considered the 3rd best team in the tournament. U.S. the 2nd best, and they got to play them in the quarters. But, yeah, we beat them in 60 when we won the gold. Remember the famous tie in 80 when we won the gold. But since 60, we've played them 8 times. We're 0-6-2. And
remember, 3-on-3 overtime should it get there.
College football. Remember Jaden Rashada, the kid who signed with the Gators, the big NIL deal, and then the deal fell apart and he left? Yeah, well, he sued Billy Napier and a Florida booster. He settled yesterday. They didn't tell us how much he won, but his NIL deal was for nearly $14 million. And he said that Florida lied to him, and he sued him, and he got a settlement yesterday. That's a first, just so you know.
They did lie to him.
But that's a first, okay? And Rashada gets it, a legal precedent. Finally, Doug Moe, an ABA original player, longtime Denver Nuggets coach. If you're old enough, those 80s Nuggets were fun. Kiki Vandeweghe, Alex English. All right, Dan Issel. Man, those Nuggets were fun.
Yep, and if you're a Piston fan, you remember the Pistons and Nuggets those years before Detroit got good. They were good, but not the bad boys. They had some legendary games that were played in the 140s.
Doug Moe passed away yesterday at the age of 87. And it's 7 minutes before the hour. That was the starting 5. 5 big stories you need to know. Brought to you by Lee County, Florida. Building a better community through BST, business, sports, and tourism.
We have one poll question up already. Tony Clark resigned because he was sleeping with his sister-in-law. Would you sleep with your sister-in-law?
I can't believe.
And we are going to steal a question. You know, you steal one, it's theft. When you steal 40, it's research and development. How much baseball are you willing to miss because of a lockout if it gets a salary cap in the sport? Not one game, half a season, or whatever it takes.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Hey, Southwest Florida, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. For you that haven't tried us yet, you gotta get in here and try my favorite 5 Chicago-style sandwiches. I got the Italian beef, I got the Italian sausage, the sausage and beef, the Maxwell Street Polish, and our soon-to-be famous breaded steak. Call us at either one of our locations in Bonita Springs and Fort Myers. And guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced jardiniere.
At the Diamond District, we have that one-of-a-kind ring that she's been dreaming of.
Whether you're beginning to think about proposing or already have something in mind, we're here to help.
Our sales team listens, educates, and guides you to the perfect engagement ring so you don't have to feel intimidated.
We guarantee that whatever you're looking for, you'll find it here.
So when it's time to pop the big question, come visit us, Jason and Todd, at the Diamond District.
At the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
By the way, did you hear when the Mark's not there. The men's hockey final is 8 a.m. Sunday, East Coast time.
David, you got up at 3 a.m. to watch a tennis match. I'm sure you'll be good to go for that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, if you're the NHL, you shut your league down for 3 weeks, okay, to get a U.S.-Canada final,
Right.
and you get it at 8 a.m. Sunday morning. Last day of the Olympics, though. I mean, even Rick, back in 80, we played Finland at like 10 a.m. Sunday in the States because it was the last day of the Olympics, closing ceremonies and all that. But
Oh, yeah, that was the final, right? The gold medal game.
well, no, it was a round robin. The U.S. played Finland, and believe it or not, right after it, Russians played Sweden. Now, when we won at 10, we clinched the gold, but Russia and Sweden were actually playing for the silver.
Oh.
And Russia beat them handily.
Okay.
Mark, I was just saying the men's hockey finals, 8 a.m. Sunday.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
2 o'clock over there, 8 a.m. in the States.
Do we have hockey on right now?
I thought the first games were like 8.
Okay.
I thought.
You could be right. Oh, come on.
No, Mark, you're right. They've already played the first period. Slovakia up 1-0 on Germany.
Can you hear that beeping, David?
Very faintly.
Okay, good.
Very faintly. By the way, you were right. Slovakia leads Germany 1-0 after 1.
Okay. I can throw that on here in a minute.
That's in theory who we'd play.
Yes.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this hump day as we get over it together. Thanks so much for being with us. Bob Pockrass to join us in about 35 minutes' time. 25th anniversary of probably the worst moment in the history of NASCAR. Dale Earnhardt dying at Daytona 25 years ago. Today, we'll talk to Bob about that, where the sport has come and gone since, and where it is now, etc., and maybe touch up on what just took place at Daytona. One other thing that I didn't mention in the starting 5 about college hoops, Kentucky lost at home to Georgia last
Ouch.
night. They hadn't lost at home to Georgia in 17 years. Remember, they spent between 12 and 20 million on their roster, and they right now I don't think would make the tournament. I mean, this is, pick
This
the
Pope thing's going really well there, huh? Is that what you're saying?
Well, listen, we focus on this in football. The preseason top 10 team that doesn't have a winning record. Well, if you spend 12 plus million on your basketball roster and you're a blue blood like Kentucky, if you don't make the tournament, what's that equivalent in football? Is that 5-7, 4-8? If you're preseason top 10 and you don't make the tournament with the amount of money that you spent on your roster, I mean, damn, I don't know if we can have who's our college hoop guy? Who's the big Kentucky guy? Hates Duke?
Oh, Riggs. Bobby Regan from Riggs, rather. Bobby Regan from Barstool. Probably need to get him on. Probably need to book him. That would be fun.
I think we need to have a health and wellness check.
That would be
before
fun.
we get him on. My goodness.
Yeah, we need to book him. He's a great guest anyhow. He loves all parts of the sport. So I would love his take on a lot of different things. But, leave 5 minutes at the end for him to talk Kentucky.
Oh, my goodness. So anyway, I just wanted to, mention that. our system plays had a good night last night, although we caught some bad breaks because the money started coming in on our plays and they turned slight underdogs into slight favorites. So we didn't I mean, based on what the lines looked like, we could have gone 6-1. I think we ended up going 4-1 because 2 of our wins turned into not plays. But system had a good night last night, which is good because it had a bad weekend. So there you have it. We're right around 500. I think we're a game or 2 below.
Exactly.
So anyway, Miller and Moulton.
You know, it's funny, David, and everybody who listens knows I'm not a NASCAR guy.
Right.
And not being a NASCAR guy and loving a lot of other sports a lot more, I don't have this remember where I was moment for many big events in sports. I remember them. There's a couple Super Bowls I remember. One because I was traveling when I was working for the Everblades and we were all on the road together watching before we climbed on a bus and went 10 hours home. But I remember everything about Dale Earnhardt's death. I remember, Michael Waltrip winning. I remember DW being in the booth and being excited and then being nervous. I mean, I remember it so vividly. And that's for me. That's not me.
No,
I'm not the guy that remembers events that vividly. And I remember that like it was yesterday for whatever reason.
It was Fox's first NASCAR broadcast. They had just gotten the contract and Fox did the first half of the year. And so that was their first broadcast. And it ended the way it ended. And then I will say, there are 2 times, me, I believe in the sports gods. You can make as much fun of me as you want. I don't care. I can handle it, by the way. I can take you all on one at a time. I believe it. I'll always believe it. Okay, you'll never convince me otherwise. There are 2 racing moments in which you can't tell me that there wasn't something at work. One was the very next week. They replaced Dale Earnhardt with this young driver named Kevin Harvick. He obviously couldn't get into Earnhardt's 3 car. Okay, that was taken out of commission. No one's going to ride the 3. Took a long time before someone did. Okay, so they put him in the 29 car. Huh? Okay. He wins the very next race. He holds off Jeff Gordon by 6 inches in a photo finish in Atlanta. Grown men on pit row in tears.
David, I would argue that this is the most significant day in racing history, not just because, and we do this thing called Today Was a Day. I don't know if people stick around for the whole 4 hours. It's our last segment. And I don't mean to spoil it, but it was also today in 79. That was the first race broadcast from start to finish.
That was the famous fight.
That's Petty winning and Yarbaugh and Donnie Allison getting in the crash and then fighting on national television.
And half the country was buried in a major blizzard, and they put NASCAR on because there was nothing else to watch. And they saw one of the great races in NASCAR history.
Right. So, I mean, you could argue that February the 18th is the most significant day in the sport.
I think you can. The good and the bad, obviously. The good and the tragic. Yeah.
So, I mean, as a non-NASCAR guy, I don't know. Right. I don't know how you couldn't say that but that race in 79 was significant.
Huge.
I don't know if the sport gets to where it gets to without it.
It doesn't. People in parts of the country who had never watched NASCAR watched it and loved it. Found it entertaining as hell. We're literally asking their racing friends, so you guys do this every week? And they're like, well, maybe not the fight on the last lap, but yeah, we do this every week for 8 months. Really? Huh.
and people knew who Petty was.
Yes.
So if Yarbo or Allison win the race, I don't know if it's as significant. The fight was famous, but Petty wins, and everybody knew who I knew who Richard Petty was in 1979.
Sure. So the next race, Kevin Harvick wins for Richard Childress, and grown men on their knees on pit row in tears. And then obviously 5 months later, they returned to Daytona. And I remember exactly where I was too. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. drove like his old man for probably the only time in his life. The last 8 laps of the July race at Daytona, he drove just like his father and went from like 9th place to 1st in 4 laps. And this time Michael Waltrip was second, and Michael made sure nobody got to his back bumper. And Junior took the checkered flag in the first race at Daytona since his dad died.
And I had neighbors who I just was going through a divorce, met new people, and my neighbors down the road who I met at the bar where I used to drink at were all NASCAR fans. So I'd walk down to their house because they were into it. And that's where we'd watch the races.
So 25 years ago today, the crash that killed Dale Earnhardt, Bob Pockrass, he will join us coming up. Big sports day and night yesterday, however, and very curious, how this Major League Baseball Players Association story, does it matter who the executive director is? I mean, whoever takes over for Tony Clark, it's not like all of a sudden they're going to be in favor of a salary cap, right?
Right. But we are. As fans, we are. And we have stolen a poll question. It's one we've used before, but I like this one much better because we know by and large, you as fans want a salary cap in the sport. Miller and Moulton want a salary cap in the sport. So just asking the blasé question, should baseball have a salary cap, is not worthy. But how much baseball are you willing to miss because of a lockout if it gets a salary cap in the sport? Not a game, half a season, whatever it takes. And right now, 3 out of 4 of you are saying whatever it takes.
I'm telling you, this will be the very first time, because I don't think public opinion is going to change between now and December 1st when the current players' agreement with the owners expires. I think this will be the very first time. And I think it's also going to be by a wide margin that the baseball fan is going to be against the players. I think the baseball fan feels they make enough money, okay? But half the sport can't compete. And by the way, with a cap comes a floor, okay? With a cap comes a floor. So the 10, 12 teams that are really intentionally not spending, sorry, get new owners if you can't spend, because you're going to have to.
And the baseball fan, one of the things that I think the no cap protects are these ridiculously long $400-500 million contracts. I don't know any baseball fan that likes it. It never works out for anybody but the player. At the back end of that deal, the player's not worth what he's getting paid. Name me the player that signed the 12-year deal that lived up to all 12 years. Is there one?
Well, I got to admit, even though his boss dumped on him, but I think the Phillies are getting off just fine with the Bryce Harper contract. It's $25 million a year. Bryce Harper's delivered for the Phillies.
Agree, but how many more years are left on that deal?
Oh, about 7.
Okay. So talk to me in 5 years. And I'm not trying to be smart here, but you may be right. But the fan hates that contract. I
understand. David. I think we're 3 years into Judge's deal, maybe 2. He signed a 9-year deal at $40 per. Yankees are getting away. Yankees are stealing money with what they've gotten from Judge since he signed that contract. mean, he's not giving them 40 million a year in production. He's giving them 75 million a year in production. So we'll see. We'll see. But that's one of our poll questions. The other is very inappropriate, but it's up there anyway. Go vote.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You see me, right?
Absolutely. Oh, look at the high top fans. Like,
You like that? They're super cool. Not too comfy though.
hi, can I order some breakfast, please? Mark Miller. Honey nut churros with whole milk. And orange juice. And a bagel toasted with cream cheese. And if there's any way that bagel could show up and warm, I would be most appreciative. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure that Kachuk needed to chase Draisaitl around telling him he was a bridesmaid the whole game. But I mean, he's an ass.
There's no doubt about it. But you want him on your team. And
Oh,
to think-
yeah. I mean,
to
you know,
think-
the thing they've got the rat on their team. And
I was just going to say, they have Kachuk and Marchand on their team. You want to talk about
Yeah, sure.
clearly the most unpopular team in the league. Sonny, the math is so against the Panthers. They can only afford to like lose 6 games the rest of the year. They ain't going to make the playoffs. I feel pretty confident about that. But if they do, oh man, we could have a first round series against Lightning. I mean, 3 years ago, they snuck in by a point and went to the finals. So
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. So, Mark, one of the stories yesterday, Bob Pockrass, by the way, in 15 minutes. One of the stories yesterday was Mike Evans, through his agent, said, yeah, I thought about it. I'm not done. Going to play at least one more year. But he is a free agent. Okay. So if you're the Bucks, what do? How much money are you willing to pay? Mike Evans signed a 2-year, $41 million deal to play the last 2 years. Now, because of injuries, you could argue he didn't earn it. But, I mean, Mike Evans gave the Bucks a sweetheart deal.
No, he did. There's no doubt, David. Now, he didn't earn that money. He was injured both years. He earned it more the first year than the second. Last year, obviously, missed a lot of time. This is twofold to me. It's not just the Bucks. And David, this could be a stupid comment. And if it is, you can stop me. Do you think it matters? We think he's a Hall of Famer. There's a logjam at receiver. There is. So there is no guarantee that Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer. You and I both think it's a slam dunk, but there are others who do not. And he played in Tampa, and that doesn't help. But does playing for one team your whole career influence Hall of Fame voters at all? You know, if he goes somewhere else, I do too.
I think it helps. I think it's very, 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 very little bit, but I do think it helps. I think it makes your career seem more regal.
I agree with that. And we've had so many great players who have finished their careers with other teams and not had the finish that they want. Now, Evans already has a ring. So chasing a ring is not the most important thing to him. It doesn't mean he wouldn't want one. Doesn't mean he wouldn't want to play for a great team. But you know,
okay,
he's never played in the cold. So you immediately think a team like Buffalo who could use him. But I don't know if that works. New England, you know, same thing.
San Francisco, especially since they're probably going to lose Juwan Jennings and their wide receiver core is already depleted. Here's the deal, though. You gave him a discount. You were making 20 and change. What are you willing to accept? And you're probably willing to accept a little bit less from Tampa because they all you know and the whole tax situation. But if you're the Bucks, do you go 1 for 12 and say, that's it, man? Maybe 13, that's as high as we're going to go. Do you go 1 for 15 and say, That's it. You know, take
And
it or
I
leave
think
it.
15's really fair. I
Okay.
think if they offered him 15, I think that's really fair for a guy coming off an injury, an aging receiver. That seems fair to me.
12 years, Mike Evans. He's giving you 12 years.
No,
So
I got you.
right. No, but I mentioned that you said an aging receiver. I'm just at 12 years in the league. I mean, I believe Mike Evans will play the upcoming season, I believe, at 34.
That's old for a
Okay.
receiver. It
There's
is.
no doubt it is. Right. But I'm just saying, if you're the Bucks, do you want to keep him? Or do you just view this as an opportunity to, he's going to be in your Ring of Honor. He's going to go in as a Buck into the Hall of Fame. You know, he loves the franchise. He loves the city. Pretty sure Mike Evans is going to spend the rest of his life actually living in the Tampa area. Loves it.
And this is the nostalgia, sentimental part of me. I really want him to finish his career with the Bucks. I personally think more of players, because so few do it today, that start and end a great career in the same city. So for just a personal standpoint, I really hope that he and the Bucks can get it done. Somewhere between 12 and 15 makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay.
You know,
so
maybe a base salary of 12 with some incentives that
Okay.
could get him to 16, 17. I don't know.
So I just wanted to see, you know, because obviously the receivers are making bank here. Bank. I mean, this is, you know, to pay 12 million for a wide receiver. I mean, that's, I think, what Cooper Kupp signed with Seattle for last year, around 12, 13 million. So,
But if he thinks he's going to get 20 and I'm the Bucks, I'd look him dead in the eye and say, good luck.
okay, I'm just asking you, all right, what's the number in which you're comfortable seeing Mike Evans play for somebody else next year? Because you may give him what you feel is a very fair offer. And you've already told him how much you desperately don't want to see him go somewhere else. But it only takes one team to offer him one for 17.5.
No, you're right. But if that team's a bad team, is he going there? Now, here's the part that would scare the hell out of me a little bit if I'm Tampa. They ended up not winning the division last year, obviously. Carolina could use someone with that young receiver they have to help out. Atlanta could use someone with Drake London there to help him out. I mean, David,
I got to admit,
but in the division,
right?
I look at it. You got to put, when you're Tampa, you've got to put all scenarios in front of you. And when I'm trying to think of how do I get, if I'm Mike Evans and I leave Tampa and I want to get to the postseason, where are my best chances? Not only for me, but where my game fits. I don't see him in Pittsburgh. I don't see him in Buffalo. I don't see him in New England. A guy that's played in Florida his whole life.
Well, and college in Texas.
In Texas, right. So,
yeah.
I mean, he's not a cold weather guy. He's not.
Not only that, he's not into taxes either. But, you know,
and
I don't,
maybe, you know, it's funny with Texas, maybe the Houston Texans would be a team on his radar.
They should be. They should
and he
be.
should, and they should be on his, or, you know, vice versa, or he should be on theirs, I guess. Yeah.
If, you know, if the Cowboys don't franchise Pickens, which I think they're going to if they have to, but if the Cowboys were to lose George Pickens, couldn't you see Dallas trying to swoop in and say, hey, you know, what do you say?
I could, but if I were Evans, it's not somewhere it would not be in my top 5 because I don't think they're a playoff team. Now they could be a good quarterback, good receiver, but I don't trust that team right now to be a team in the postseason. They're clearly not the best team in their own division. Every other team we've talked about, if San Francisco, you know, plays a little bit less injured this year, I look at the Niners as a team that could contend for the division. They did last year. I certainly look, and I know you don't like this, but the Falcons and Panthers are both contenders for that division. Houston's a contender for that division.
This is where you would like to think and not as a fan, but even as the GM of the Bucks, you would like to think that we're competing with 28 teams, but not 31.
Okay. But
'Cause
let's
he's a
just say you're
lifelong
offering
Buck. I mean, you would like to think that the Panthers, Falcons, and Saints, particularly the Saints, my goodness, Mike Evans seemingly gotten one fight a year with the Saints.
right. I'm with you. Okay. You're offering 12.
I know.
Carolina's
No, I know.
offering 18, 19.
I understand. I understand. But we've talked about it. The sneaky rivalries in the NFC South outside of the Saints Falcons. Really, every team in that division hates every team in that division. It is a sneaky good rivalry division.
Right. Carolina and New Orleans would be the only one that I would argue doesn't have a lot of juice to it. Tampa hates everybody in their division, and they all hate Tampa.
So just wondering, where are you willing to go if you're the Bucks? Now that Evans has said, I want to play one more year, I would love it to be in Tampa, but I am going to hit free agency and see what's out there. Just curious what the number is in everybody's mind if you're the Bucks. Bob Pockrass next.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Get ready, Southwest Florida. The Southwest Florida Ag Expo is back. Now's the time to save big with the Mega Pass, your all-in-one ticket to the fun, one low price. Get your one-day admission and unlimited midway rides. Mega Passes available online through February 26th at swflagexpo.com. Don't wait. Grab yours. Get ready for roots, rides, and real fun. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Did you see the leg sweep Canada relief? That was a dirty play by the Slovakian player there. And that he kicked his legs out. That was dirty.
This is who the winner of U.S.-Sweden plays in the semis.
Mm-hmm.
I got it. Barkley went to the Eagles. Barkley played 6 years with the Giants. Evans played 12. Barkley won one playoff game. Evans got a ring, I think. Plus, Evans and the Bucks never had a difficult negotiation the whole way. So Mike has always felt he was taken care of and got what he wanted from the Bucks. Whereas obviously that was not the case with Saquon and the Giants for 2 years because they tagged him the first time.
Canada relief. What's the score? Is it 3-1? Because I can't see the score how I've got the TV angled. Okay, thank you. looking at, I was just looking to see where, Duke, Michigan was, because someone asked in there.
6:30.
Miami, Virginia, at Virginia on Saturday. That's a sneaky good game.
Even
Arizona and Houston at 3.
Well,
and then Michigan and Duke.
People joked that it's a Final Four Saturday. Arizona, Houston, and Duke, Michigan.
And then late, way late, Iowa State at BYU at 10:30.
I can argue the Bucks need him, even if he's no longer a number one, which he's not. But although he looked pretty good till he broke his collarbone, I will say.
I think just the growth of Ibuka is worth having him there for another year.
And also because I think this will be the second year removed for Godwin from injury. So Godwin should be better also. But yeah, even if Evans turns into your number 2 or a great number 3.
My wife is sick and has lost her voice. It is so funny to talk to her right now.
Oh, really?
Oh, my God.
Bob's ready to go.
Great.
Literally spent an hour and 15 minutes on the phone with Verizon yesterday.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till Seth Everett joins us for his weekly visit at the top of the hour here on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our poll question, one of them. So, as a fan, how much of the 27 baseball season are you willing to sacrifice to get a salary cap and floor? No games, half the season? I'd sacrifice as many games as it takes. That's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. 25 years ago, he was working for the Daytona Beach News Journal, beginning his 30-plus year career covering motorsports at the highest level. He's Bob Pockrass of Fox. You can follow Bob on X at Bob Pockrass, Pockrass. Bob, appreciate you joining us on this fateful day. I can only imagine you probably remember every single detail of it. When you look back, is it still surreal?
Oh, a little bit. But you also, I think it was a time in the sport where, 3 drivers had died the previous year of, in wrecks. And so I think everybody you were aware of the possibility that someone could die in a race. That wasn't, it wasn't totally out of the norm, but, when, one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time, dies in a race, it certainly shakes you, and certainly is what kind of forced NASCAR to look at itself and look outside on how to enhance safety in the sport.
Is the sport better today? I know it's safer, but is it better today than it was 25 years ago?
Oh, when you talk about popularity of the sport, I think you could say that there's been no driver who has reached the level of Dale Earnhardt. You could say that you haven't had the rivalry that you had when you had Dale Earnhardt battling Jeff Gordon. So in that sense, you could say that the sport is not as well and impacted by his death that way. But obviously, from a safety standpoint, no driver has died in a NASCAR National Series race since 2001. And, I think that, to me, that speaks for itself.
Bob, trying to figure out how exactly to phrase this, but, why do you think it is Dale died at 49? Nobody races to 49 anymore. If somebody is approaching 50, the sport's kind of like, what are you doing? You should have retired years ago. I mean, guys are barely making it into their early 40s. That's one part of his death that I don't think gets talked about a lot. Guys raced into their mid 50s a generation ago all the time. Now they barely get to 40.
Well, I think there's two factors. The first is that many of the drivers who were racing into their 50s 20, 30 years ago didn't start racing till their late teens. They didn't start racing till they were 15, 16, 17, 18, or even into their early 20s. So, so you're talking about that they had, maybe 30-year careers in, as a racer. Now drivers are racing when they're 5, 6, 7 years old, right? I mean, you look at and we're talking big races by the time you're early teenager. Like Keelan Harvick just turned 13 and he's winning races all over the place. So I think the careers also start earlier. And the other is that the money is certainly better now than it was, you would say, 30 to 40 years ago. And I think certainly especially when you look at the Cup Series, those drivers, they make, I would say they make enough money that they're not still racing to put food on the table or to continue to secure themselves for years to come.
I don't know if important's the right word, but I'll go with important. How significant was Michael Jordan's team winning the 500 last week?
Obviously, NASCAR has been trying to talk about, how it's moving on from the lawsuit that was filed and finally settled after 8 days of trial last year by Michael Jordan and his team. So to have Michael Jordan and NASCAR chairman Jim France smiling with each other, at the Daytona 500 in Victory Lane, I think does a lot more for the sport than them smiling outside a courtroom for a couple of minutes in December for a couple of reasons. It shows that they have respect for each other. It shows that Michael Jordan is still invested in this sport, and it shows how much Michael Jordan loves the sport. And I think it continues to kind of expose Michael Jordan's story. It continues to tell Michael Jordan's story of how he was a NASCAR fan when he was a kid. When he was at North Carolina, he came to the Coke 600 in Charlotte. He's been a lifelong NASCAR fan, and I think for people to know about that and learn about that and see him in Victory Lane celebrating that fact is a big deal for the sport. It certainly can't hurt a sport that is looking for as many eyeballs as possible.
How was the 500 viewed afterwards? I mean, it had the most leaders ever, most lead changes ever. The last lap was amazing. I'm so thrilled NASCAR let them race. Okay. It didn't always do that. I hope that continues. But then again, it seemed as if we had racing teams that were teaming up to conserve fuel, and Toyota's 3 wide so that nobody else could get past them. And I'm just curious, how was the race received in the garage?
Well, I think in the garage, they just look at it as a matter of fact that that's the way they have to race right now. And look, the style of super speedway racing and drafting has always been there's always been a little bit of angst in the garage over it, right? There's certainly a group that doesn't like it at all, because it's just, you're just on the edge of disaster. But it's also, thrilling and exciting for fans to watch. And they got a thrilling, finish. And it's thrilling, I would say, probably last 20, 30 laps. The hard part is getting there. And, what can NASCAR do to keep drivers from having to do this fuel mileage strategy that they've been doing? The easy way would be to make the cars less stable, but if you make them way more or less stable, then you're going to have even more accidents, and potentially, that wouldn't be good. So it's a fine line, and certainly fans want to see their drivers going all out all the time, and until NASCAR can get there, there's going to be criticism of it.
Well, what would be, if there's a fix that's needed, Bob? And I say this because my son's 26. 4 or 5 years ago, he was going to 5 races a year. He has no interest in going to a race now. He lost his interest in the sport that he loved just 5 years ago. That's not good for NASCAR. If you could fix one thing right now, if you think it needs to be fixed, what would it be?
One thing that needs to be fixed is that NASCAR needs to find a way to get drivers who have the most talent a feasible path to the top, and not that cost so much in the trucks in the Xfinity series to get that exposure. To me, that's what they need. There's a lot of talent in the lower levels. There's a lot of personality in the lower levels, but the ability to get the funding needed to race in trucks, to race in Xfinity, is so difficult that it's certainly there are good drivers there, and certainly you have Corey Heim or Connor Zilic who are able to break through. But there's a lot more who potentially could be breaking through.
Bob, this may be an impossible, unfair question, and obviously it's one we'll never know. Do you think Earnhardt would like NASCAR the way it is today? And there was a lot to it, and obviously Dale was a huge businessman, okay, so he really appreciated that part of the sport, all right? But just the racing, the sport as a whole, do you think Earnhardt would be one of the old timers complaining about back in my day? Or do you think Earnhardt would go, no, man, we're going forward. We're doing all right?
I think he would, to me, he would have the hardest part with social media and the requests to help create content. On the social channels, and that being a factor on whether you give somebody a ride or not. I mean, so to me that would probably be his biggest challenge. I think I think he, like you. I mean, I think if you ask us about any of the old school drivers and mechanics, like the whole concept of having a car where you pretty much can only buy your parts and pieces from one vendor would probably not thrill him the most.
He's Bob Pockrass, covers racing for Fox. Been covering racing for 35 years. You can follow Bob on X at Bob Pockrass, Pockrass. Bob, thanks for always being good to us. Safe travels, and hopefully we can catch up sometime next month.
All right, thank you.
Bob Pockrass. On this, the 25th anniversary of Earnhardt dying at Daytona. And he was 49. And Mark, I know you weren't a big racing fan at the time, and you're not one now. But there was no talk of him retiring in 2001.
You know, I didn't even realize his age until you said it. I never thought about it, never gave it 1 ounce of thought. And as I said earlier in the show, I remember where I was when that happened. I really do. And for me to remember where I was during a sporting event 25 years later is a hell of a trick. The fact that it's a NASCAR race is even more surprising to me. But it didn't dawn on me that he was nearly 50. And as you said, there was no talk of him retiring.
No.
It wasn't like he was on a retirement tour racing.
No, he wasn't the best anymore. Gordon had passed him. You know, he hadn't won a cup title in 2001, would have been his 7th year, because I think 94 was his last title. He finished second a couple times in the mid and late 90s, but, you know, Gordon had replaced him as the guy. Okay, but he was still clearly a top 5 driver on the circuit. And he turned 50. 10 weeks after his death, he would have turned 50.
And what I think the one thing that, you know, I don't want to disagree with Bob, but the one thing that I would disagree with him upon where it needs to go is that they've cut these guys are all robots. You know, whether you like Jeff Gordon or didn't like Jeff Gordon, he had a personality. Jimmy Johnson had none, has none.
Yeah,
many of these guys do not have a personality.
No, I thought Jimmy Johnson was the worst thing that happened in NASCAR, to be honest.
Right, because he was great, and he was a dud.
But they changed the rules. He wouldn't have won the titles that Gordon and Earnhardt won because those were season-long things. The other thing was Hendrick would literally take Gordon's pit crew and give it to Jimmy Johnson for the playoffs. I mean, so don't get me started. You know, that Gordon should have had 7 titles and Johnson like 3 or 4. But anyway, if you're into racing at all, find Dale Earnhardt 2000 Daytona post race. He gets out of his car and he does a minute-long bitch about how bad this race was, how bad NASCAR has ruined the Daytona 500. Bill France Sr. would be rolling over in his grave. It is awesome. Only one guy could have said that about NASCAR in 2000, and it was Earnhardt.
And look, nobody wants anybody to die playing any sport. They don't. But I do think the fact that it is safer now, there was an element that fans knew that a guy was taking his life into his own hands getting in the car. They don't think that way anymore. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I just think it's factual.
I agree. I mean, I was at Watkins Glen in 91 when J.D. McDuffie died in the wreck. And so, yeah, you still went to the racetrack a generation ago thinking that death was possible.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Hey, Southwest Florida, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. For you that haven't tried us yet, you gotta get in here and try my favorite 5 Chicago-style sandwiches. I got the Italian beef, I got the Italian sausage, the sausage and beef, the Maxwell Street Polish, and our soon-to-be famous breaded steak. Call us at either one of our locations in Bonita Springs and Fort Myers. And guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it Gardenia. It's pronounced Jardiniere.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Can I see the jersey or shirt? Oh,
yeah. Morning. How
Hi,
is
Seth.
everyone?
Just excited about the day.
Today's a big sports day. I got 4 hockey games and an Arsenal game today. I'm not getting nothing done.
Schifrin's leading. She's got her second run left.
I hope she wins.
I do too.
And my goodness. Now, she does have Olympic medals. Her first Olympics in 18, she won like 3 or 4 of them, including, I think, 2 gold. I mean, she does have Olympic success on her resume, but she went 0 for 6 4 years ago, and she's 0 for 2 in this one.
But she was supposed to be,
after
the first one, the most decorated, certainly most decorated American skier ever, and one of the best skiers. I mean, the expectations were limitless for her.
Well, didn't she win her 100th race last year? I mean, she's got a staggering amount of wins on the circuit.
There's a Ukrainian figure skater that attends Montclair State University, and they had a watch party for her yesterday.
So she's in the Olympics?
Yeah, she's competing.
Oh, wow.
She made the next round. She's in position to get a medal if she does well. I mean,
oh wow.
Olga Minutita or something like that. But she's a business major at Montclair State, and she did a bunch of interviews with the college before she left, and then they made this big watch party for her yesterday, and like 300 students showed up. It was awesome.
Yeah, that is great. Quick question in Twitch. Does Seth have an opinion on Wrexham? I have no idea what he's talking about, but just
Oh,
curious.
that's the football team that the soccer team that Ryan Reynolds and Rob
Right.
McElhenney.
They're one level
right.
away from the Premier League now. They've moved
Yeah.
up to what used to be the Coca-Cola League. I don't know what it's called now.
Correct. They've done amazing, and that documentary is awesome. The show on Disney Plus, Welcome to Wrexham. It's pretty good.
Oh, all I know is that his wife's in court and he's not by her side, and boy, is he getting grief.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess.
Who's his wife?
I believe it's Blake Lively.
Blake Lively, who met on the set of Green Lantern.
15 seconds, fellas.
Slovakia just scored again.
What's it, 5-1?
Yep.
5-1. You know, their captain is former Devils great Tomas Tatar.
Oh, jeez.
And Johnny Finger Lakes, the skiing's on USA.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home on this hump day, so we're right smack dab in the middle of our week. Final hour of the show in live Oak Lake City and surrounding areas, Port Charlotte, Venice and surrounding areas, Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Couple of poll questions, both of them baseball related, one very inappropriate. Tony Clark lost his job for sleeping with his sister-in-law. We asked you, would you sleep with yours? Right now, around 85% of you would not.
But the fact remains, and it's a little higher than that now, the fact remains that 12% of you would sleep with your sister-in-law.
Right. That's 1 out of 8. That's
right. I mean, that is
alarming.
Something.
Right. That is alarming. And but the second question is more in line with this show, I guess. So how much of the 27th season are you willing to sacrifice to get a cap and a floor in baseball? None of it, half of it, as many games as it takes. Call me in 2030 if need be. That's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. Seth Everett joins us this day and time. Sports with Friends Hall of Justice. Follow Seth on X at Seth_Everett. How you doing?
I'm good gentlemen. Big sports day today.
Okay.
4 hockey games, quarterfinals, and it started at 6 this morning. I was up. And
me too.
And Arsenal plays Wolverhampton later at 3:00. So I'm getting nothing done today.
Okay, Arsenal or the U.S. men's hockey team, they're both playing at 3. You only have one TV. If you only have one TV, what are you watching?
I put Arsenal on the TV, hockey on the iPad.
No, again, you only have, the question was, you only have one TV. No,
I know.
You can't answer.
And I don't have a sister-in-law, but I still answered yes.
Let me ask you this, Seth, because I know you're not the baseball guy that you once were. And we all know, if you've listened to this show, we all know the reasons why. But David made a great comparison early in our show. When hockey got done what they needed to get done, to get their cap, fix the sport, and they missed a season.
Mm-hmm.
But when the game came back, the game was better. Because not only did they get some off-ice things done, they got a lot on ice done. As far as the taking away, calling penalties for what had been rules for years that were just not called anymore. For a baseball guy, the neighborhood play, if you will. Seth, if they miss a whole season for a cap and get the cap, that would be great for competitive balance of the sport. I don't think there's any doubt there. But do you think there's any way to do what hockey did and put some rule changes, if you will, in the sport to fix the part of the sport that you think is broken?
Maybe. I'm not 100% sold that a cap fixes baseball. I think the bigger goal for this year is to get the 6 or 7 teams that are still loyal to their regional sports network to jump on board and make an NFL style broadcast plan. I think that's the most important thing, and that's an owners versus owners thing. That's not even a players thing.
Correct.
The problem with the Tony Clark situation is the speeches that usually take place during spring training. A lot of players do not read newspapers, and a lot of players do not follow the news as much as they would. And usually when I was covering baseball, it was Michael Weiner, the late Michael Weiner. But he would come down to spring training and we would try to sync up with Michael so we could talk to him about the issues facing the union and things like that. And they would talk about how invaluable that was going into any season, let alone a year where there's a big collective bargaining agreement. The union's going to figure itself out. It's going to correct itself. And you had to do what you had to do. But the reality of it is it puts the players behind the 8 ball, and that's not something they need. That said, again, this is an owners versus owners fight. This is not a owners versus players fight.
Well, we agree with that, but we agree at some point the owners are going to get on the same page, whatever that page is, at which point they will turn their attention to the players. And the first thing the owners are going to say is cap. And the first thing the players are going to say is cold day in hell.
But a bunch of owners don't want a cap.
Well, how many? No, seriously.
That's the
how
thing.
many?
I don't know. I don't know that number. I don't cover it the way I used to. But the fact is there are owners out there that don't believe in this cap thing, so they can't even agree on that.
We got it.
What I'm saying is, wake me when that happens. Wake me when the owners have a unified anything, and then we can assess what's going to happen.
Well, I agree. I mean, and Mark and I are in agreement in, listen, the owners need to get their act together by December 1st so that at least when the strike starts or the lockout starts, that the owners are unified. This is what we want, but also they've worked their issues out. That's why we think this is going to last a very long time. Because there's no guarantee the owners are ever going to get on the same page. Never mind what they're asking for. The players have literally said, we will not play before we ever agree to what you're asking for. So, but here's something that, Seth, you covered the sport in which it nearly had 2 work stoppages when you were covering it.
Oh, yeah.
And both times the players caved late after not caving in 94. But the way we remember it, the fans were on the side of the players. Right now, the fans are clearly on the side of the commissioner and the owners because they're used to the cap in all their other sports. And so they go, well, of course, baseball's broken. They don't have a cap. They got to go to have a cap and a floor. That's what works.
Yeah, I mean, it's been something. In 2002, they had the almost strike. That was the one that went down to the wire.
Tom Glavine. So the word is Tom Glavine prevented a strike in which he found a big union guy, and he walked in at the last minute and said, guys, I was around in 94. We can't shut down the sport again. We got to suck it up and take a loss if we have to. We got to keep playing.
I was there. My job that year in 2002 was, well, first of all, the thing that could void my contract was a work stoppage. So I had a vested interest in this.
Right.
And my deal was I had to do the radio show. I think the radio show ended at 6, and then I had to take the subway to 245 Park Avenue, which is where the commissioner's office was, and camp out. And we camped out. That's where I got to know Rob Manfred. And we would go, there was a pizza place across the street. We would go get a slice after the negotiations were done for the day. So I had my fingers on the pulse. And I remember talking to Tom Glavine about that very issue that year. And again, all I cared about was settle. I didn't care who won back then. Because they literally, that was the only clause in the contract that said if there's a work stoppage of any reason, which is ironic because during COVID, when they canceled games, if I had the same contract, that would have avoided it as well. It wasn't just labor, it was cancellation of games.
Seth, I'm afraid to ask you this because I know how much you hate the Olympics, but
I love the Olympics. I've been watching nonstop Olympics.
Okay, all right. Well, you don't like the Olympic hockey because you're fearful that a New Jersey Devil player is going to get hurt. Which really doesn't matter because they're not making the playoffs. But Has this worked for the NHL? Because, David and I were talking yesterday. The games are on early. They're hard to get to. For all of the sacrifices that the league has made to get this on, at least in the United States and Canada, maybe it's worked in Europe. I don't know. But to us, this tournament, first off, it's been boring. Up until today, the tournament's been boring. Is this working for the NHL?
No, but it wasn't going to. The NHL doesn't want this, and the NHL has fought against this. The players wanted this. This is just to satisfy the players. I have said, and I say this about the World Baseball Classic, I say it about all these international tournaments. If you want to create a World Cup of hockey and play it in the summer, I will buy tickets. That would be fantastic. That would be something that would be amazing to watch during the summer when there's no baseball games. The idea that you're playing this and you're interrupting your season so these players can go away for 3 weeks and be exhausted, it's ridiculous. Now, that said, I'm a diehard hockey fan. That's my number one. I've watched virtually every game, and I've watched this Gold Zone every day. I've watched hours and hours and hours of the Olympics. But the reality of it is this tournament does nothing for the NHL. And Sunday's gold medal game, by the way, is at 8 in the morning.
8 a.m.
in the morning, right.
8 a.m. Right.
Watch party in my house.
Well, will it be a watch party if the U.S. isn't in it?
Heck yeah.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. Making sure. Hey, quickly, because we want to promote what you're doing. Got about a minute or so before we give you the floor. You're somebody who mixes sports and politics far more than the two of us. We try to keep them separate. But clearly in the Olympics, they're mixed because the Russians and the Belarus athletes are not allowed in. Okay. And it's really evident in hockey. Do you think going forward in international competition that the Russian and Belarus athletes should be allowed to compete?
Well, they have to do certain other things first.
Well,
yeah, I mean I
don't
want a lifetime ban. I want them back, but I also want peace.
Well, we all want peace, but listen, if the IOC, you made your stand. Okay, we get it, but now, quite frankly, there's a lot of people. The athletes are even saying, "Hey, come on, they're the best. In certain, let them in. We want to compete against the best." I mean,
it would be better if they were there.
Yeah, this hockey tournament without the Russians is a joke.
I mean, we did. I know it was a long time ago, but we did have the Olympics in Berlin when Hitler was in charge, for crying out loud.
Yeah, sure. I've enjoyed it. I haven't found it to be a joke. Like I said, I've had it on every day. I think Kenny Albert and those guys are awesome. Anson Carter's great. I've enjoyed the heck out of this thing, and I love watching I was rooting for Andre Palat, and I'm having a blast with this thing.
Okay, 60 seconds. Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice. What are you doing?
One of my old college buddies, Tim Benz, longtime Pittsburgh sportscaster, does stuff with the Pittsburgh Tribune Review and a bunch of radio as well. And television. We talk Pittsburgh sports. So we talk about should Aaron Rodgers return, their new coach, Sidney Crosby versus Mario Lemieux, debate that doesn't happen often. And we talk about the Pirates and this regional sports network situation and how does that impact a city like Pittsburgh. It's a really fun podcast. He and I graduated together. Tim Benz on Sports with Friends.
He's Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice. Follow him on X at Seth_Everett. Enjoy your big sports day.
Can I ask one question? Do I have time?
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Mark, all the things that they have for you there, ask them for a brush.
Appreciate that, Seth. I'm still looking forward to Ass Swab Wednesday. Okay, Seth?
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Stove up. I don't think the IOC should have mixed sports and politics. And for what it's worth, when I was 14 years old, I wasn't in favor of the U.S. boycotting the Summer Olympics in Moscow. And I didn't know squat about the world. And I still may not know squat. But it just, to me, it was like, what are we doing? Why are we bringing the Russia invading Afghanistan and not sending our athletes to the Olympics? I mean, that's because is anything going to change because we don't send our athletes? No. And stove up, if there's ways to pressure Putin, and you're right, us and other countries aren't doing it, but I don't want to get into that. Does anybody think that the IOC banning the Russian athletes from international competition was going to have any effect, is having any effect? No, come on. He's a madman. You really think he cares? So I thought the Russians should have been in the Four Nations. I think they should be in the Olympics. The athletes didn't do squat. But that's me. Stove up, in all honesty, what pressure? Come on. What internal pressure? Come on. I just think it's not the IOC's place. That's all. Appreciate the motives. I think if you're the IOC, you could come out and say and make statements against the war. But I think I'm not in favor of banning the athletes for something that the leader of a country does. I mean, not to get overly political, but, what if Trump is serious and actually takes over Greenland one day and the IOC bans us from the 2028 Olympics?
I think it's selective rage. If we, really want to get to the summer games and some of the nations that compete in that,
yeah,
and what they've done to human rights. I mean,
right.
We let China in every year. I mean, come on now. It's selective rage.
I'm just not in favor of it. It's fake outrage. The only people that get hurt are the athletes.
You want to do it in the World Cup too, Sobot?
If you want to, the IOC wants to support Ukraine, send them a check.
You got something here?
No. You?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on S. You missed any part of the show, go to millerandmoulton.com. Brandon Warne, who covers the Twins, will join us in a little more than 15 minutes' time. They had a bad day at the office yesterday.
Boy, did they ever. And they really can't afford to have bad days at the office in the off season.
No, because they've had bad days at the office going all the way back to the trading deadline last year. So, yeah, they couldn't afford a single bad day.
Well, was that really a bad day at the office last year at the trade deadline, or was that just the fire sale to end all fire sales?
Well, but don't you think that that's a bad day at the office? I mean, in that division, how honestly, if you have a pulse, how can you conduct a fire sale in that division?
Well, look at
think of the last 2 years.
A bad day at the office for their fans, but obviously ownership was the one that did this. So they didn't think it was a bad day at the office.
Okay,
they're cheap.
You're right. You're right. I'm thinking about it from the fans' point of view. The fans have had an awful 7 months.
Yeah, they really have.
Awful.
And to your point, you're absolutely right. If you have a pulse in the Central, how can you do something like that?
I mean, think of the last 2 years. I mean, your Tigers were way out of it.
Right. They were dead. They were dead in 24.
With less than 2 months left in the season. And next thing you know, they're winning the division. Okay.
Cleveland was dead the next year and puts off the biggest comeback in the history of the sport to win the division.
And it doesn't take 90 plus wins to win that division either. Okay. You need like the right 87. I mean, come on. I mean, to have a fire sale in that division is
no, I'm with you.
Crazy.
I'm with you. And that's a team when we discuss where owners are so far apart, you would need to look no further than the Twins ownership group because they're never going to support a salary cap because they don't want the floor. They don't. That's a team that needs to sell. That's
no question.
It flat out needs to sell.
And their fan base wants them to sell.
Correct. Just like the Pirates fan base wants them to sell.
Yes. And I do think that that's part of the difficulty that Rob Manfred has. Okay. To get a cap, you're going to have a floor. And he's going to turn and look at least 10 owners and go, guys, you know what that means?
Well, David, sorry.
You know, they're just going to say, well, with the TV revenue and you know, we're not going to be able to pay our bills. And I think he's going to be like, well, sell the damn team then.
So I promised yesterday at the end of the show that I was going to derail the show today. It's that time. And you thought it was just the poll question of would you sleep with your sister-in-law?
Correct.
But there are many studies done at universities that don't make any sense to most of us. Here's another. The University of Maryland researchers have designed smart underwear to track and measure flatulence. And now they're seeking volunteers to wear them. Scientists have created a small device that snaps in the wearer's underwear and uses electrochemical sensors to track intestinal gas. Apparently, healthy adults pass gas an average of 32 times a day.
Wow.
A low of 4, a high of 59. The average they thought was around 14, but the number was attributed to difficulties involved in measuring and self-reporting. And now we have a device that was never, ever needed, smart underwear to track flatulence. I would sign up tomorrow to wear smart underwear.
Oh, my goodness.
I really would. I think most husbands out there would allow their wives to do it too, just to prove that they're all liars. Well, your wife is a wonderful woman. My wife is a wonderful woman. But the fact is, most of them don't admit to what the rest of the world knows to be true.
Correct.
And if you found out your wife passed gas more than you, would you make fun of her for it?
Well, no, because I'm hoping to sleep with her again. But yeah, I think we all know that the women pass gas. They just try to do it discreetly. And they oftentimes, it's why they go into the bedroom or the bathroom as often as they do.
Right.
They're
And
not
I'm thinking
looking
of
for
one of my
something.
friends in particular who has no problem doing it in front of everybody, and his wife just going, Christopher.
Well, I'm on her side. I mean, come on now. So you can't just walk around with a little thing that you click every time you pass gas?
It says, think of it like a continuous glucose monitor, but for intestinal gas. That's in a news release. I mean, the fact of the matter is that the University of Maryland somehow got a grant. I mean, somebody paid for this, David.
Yeah, well, that's frightening. It's frightening.
So
I mean-
I was going to use it as the good the last 2 days, but I thought it needed more time than that.
Wow. Wow. What's the purpose of this study?
Huh. I mean, that's a great question.
I mean, what's the purpose? Why do we need to have the study?
They say it's essential groundwork for evaluating how dietary, probiotic, or prebiotic interventions can change microbiome activity. So that's what I've got, David. That's all I don't know. I mean, I've read the article twice, and I still don't think that really anything relevant comes out of it other than me being able to get through a segment and make you a touch uncomfortable.
So, yeah, you've succeeded. I'm very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. And that's saying something, because my name's on a show that has a poll question today, which asks, since Tony Clark got fired for sleeping with his sister-in-law, would you sleep with yours?
And I'm impressed with our voters. We're up to 91% of you wouldn't. I still would like to have long conversations with the 9% of you who anonymously have said you would sleep with your sister-in-law. I think Sonny in the chat room brings up a hell of a good point. What if your sister-in-law passes gas? I mean, I do think that's fair. So smart underwear, to me, it's worthy of another poll question. Would you wear it? But neither here nor there. I did want to get to one other thing. I had to bring that up. But Mick Cronin, the coach of UCLA,
right?
He's a beauty. He was asked, they played Michigan State. They got throttled. UCLA and USC went to Michigan 4 times. And I mean, both got just pounded. Sparty beat the hell out of USC and UCLA. And I mean, let's be honest, Michigan beats the hell out of everybody. But they went 0 for 4, the California teams in Michigan, and were destroyed. UCLA as a player that transferred from Michigan State to UCLA. The Michigan State student section was chanting his name during the game. Mick Cronin was asked about it after the game and gave us this charming answer.
What was your thoughts in the student section chanting Booker's name?
I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section.
I just meant overall the way that you...
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
All right, I'll take it.
Did you like
You should take it.
the preparation of the?
Do you really think I care about the other
No,
team
I don't.
student
I don't
section?
think you care about the other.
Are you
team.
raising your voice at me?
No, I'm just.
Yeah, you
talking
are.
to you.
Yeah, you are. Come on, dude.
No reason.
Come on. Yes, you are. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody. This is on camera. They can hear you.
Oh,
I answered the question. I could give a rat's ass about the other team student section.
That's Mick Cronin going after apparently a young student reporter from Michigan State post game. Seth Davis, who you and I both follow on X, reposted it saying, I've asked way worse questions of Mick than that.
Right. I'll say this, though. UCLA does not like to be embarrassed. They don't. UCLA, particularly men's basketball, thinks very highly of themselves. I don't think that Mick Cronin's actions, Izzo can do anything at Michigan State. He's one of them. Mick Cronin is a rental. I don't know how well this is going over at UCLA, to be honest with you, Mark.
Oh, and by the way, one of his players got a flagrant one. Cronin threw him out of the game. He elevated himself to a flagrant 2.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Get ready, Southwest Florida. The Southwest Florida Ag Expo is back. Now's the time to save big with the Mega Pass. Your all-in-one ticket to the fun, one low price. Get you one-day admission and unlimited midway rides. Mega Passes available online through February 26th at swflagexpo.com. Don't wait. Grab yours. Get ready for roots, rides, and real fun. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Oh, she did win during that. I knew it was coming. I had it on, but I obviously wasn't paying attention. They just went to commercial. I was wondering if she already ran. Good for her. Good for her. We knew who you were talking about, Spitz. Brian, that is the real question. Would your sister-in-law sleep with you? That really and truly is the real question. I agree with that. I'm doing great, Spitz. If my numbers are right, I might be we might be in grafting because my white blood cell count is up from yesterday when it was at 0.02. It's at 0.07 today. So I still don't really have much of an immune system, but I think we could be on the comeback trail now. What's worse, sleeping with your sister-in-law or your best friend's wife? There's a hell of a question for you.
Hey, Brandon.
How we doing?
Good.
Hey, Brandon.
How are you?
Oh, good. I'm a mess over here, it looks like, but I'm all right.
I like it. That just shows a guy that works hard.
I was going to say, to me, it shows like you're busting your butt.
It's busy.
Yeah. Yeah. You're covering a franchise that is not lacking for news these days.
No. Sadly, no.
We'll segment starts in 2 minutes.
Sure.
Forgive me. I have a doctor appointment later. I have to fast. So I'm getting in food during the last minutes that I can.
Yeah, I had one of those the other day.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the Diamond District bonus hour on this hump day. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. You know, we've been around for 20 years, and it's always a thrill for us to welcome somebody onto the show for the first time. He's Brandon Warne. He covers the Twins. AccessTwins.substack.com. Follow Brandon on X at Brandon_Warne. It's Warne with an E on the end, Warne. Brandon, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Well, it's raining, transitioning to snow where I'm at, so it's delightful. Absolutely delightful.
Tell you what, we'd like to ask our guests our poll question when they come on. This poll question is baseball related, and whether it's your opinion or you think those of your readers and followers. So how much of the 27 season are you willing to sacrifice to bring a cap and a floor into baseball? The choices are not a day, half a season, or take as long as you want. Just curious, you Twins fans, how do you think they'd answer that these days?
Honestly, I'm not sure, because the way the spending has been around here the last 3 years, consistently decreasing, and the way the team played, especially down the stretch last year, I'm not sure that they'd miss the Twins that much. But I guess I don't know. I'm hopeful that even with Tony Clark resigning, that there'll be some continuity and they can hammer this out pretty quickly. I would really prefer, for the sake of my work, not to lose any games. But you know what? I also want to see players get theirs. So I, as a cop-out, I'm not really sure where I stand as far as how many games I'm willing to give up. Preferably 0, though.
All right. You know, we were just talking about this. Last year, the Twins had the fire sale to end all fire sales. I mean, it made what the Marlins did years ago look pedestrian. And this is a proud franchise and a great fan base. We know how great their radio network is. I mean, how important they are throughout the state of Minnesota. How much angst is there towards ownership in Minnesota right now because of what you talked about, because of the spending? Because one of the reasons we think a cap's important is that brings a floor in play. And right now, the Twins wouldn't be close to what any type of floor would be. How much angst is there towards ownership in Minnesota right now?
Honestly, I think there's ownership fatigue at this point, just because it's been the same ownership group for as long as it's been, and you can change the first name, but it's still a Pohlad at the end of the day. And so I think it's just a frustration born out of same different day. So even though they switched from Joe Pohlad to Tom Pohlad, people are mostly just apathetic until either he puts his money where his mouth is, as he seems to be suggesting, or they finally up and sell the team like they had pretended they were. Well, I don't know about pretended, but at least intimated they were going to do a while back before pulling the rug back. And I think that too, the timing of that was really something. They sell off at the deadline, and then a couple days later, we sold everything. And oh, by the way, we're staying. Everyone else is going, we're staying. I can't imagine more backwards messaging. At this point, Twins fans are basically just burnt out on the Pohlads, and outside of actually spending money, not much is going to change that.
Brandon Warne covers the Twins. AccessTwins.substack.com. Follow him on X at Brandon_Warne. It's Warne with an E on the end, WARNE. Well, then the calendar turns to 2026, and the guy running the organization 3 weeks before spring training says, yeah, this ain't working for me. I'm out of here. I mean, do we know, did something change between the fire sale and the first of the year as to why now all of a sudden he'd be like, yeah, this ain't going to work for me?
Yeah, really weird timing. And if you think of the three levels now that they've changed structure, they went from one Pohlad to another, so not much change on the ownership level. At the executive level, they go from Falvey to Jeremy Zoll, who had already been there for a long time. And managerially, they go from Rocco Baldelli to Derek Shelton. Shelton was on his first coaching staff when he took over the team after Paul Molitor was fired. So really, it's hard to say how much, if any, change there's going to be. And that has kind of clouded any sort of analysis of where this team is headed. And also, too, if there's change, really knowing where it comes from. I mean, how can you pick out which of those three is going to be appreciably different? Yes, you can look at how last season went and say change is needed, but did they really make change on any of those levels? And so, again, I keep kind of coming back to, like, it's so hard to analyze or figure out where this team is at after everything that's happened, basically since the end of the playoffs when they beat the Blue Jays and then were bounced by the Astros, that honestly, I'm just so eager as I watch snowfall at my house to see spring training end and the season start, just so we can start seeing some results and kind of figure some of these things out.
They're over under, at least on the app I can bet with in the state of Florida, 73.5. How accurate do you think that is?
I'm optimistic this year, even after the news of Pablo Lopez dealing with a UCL, mostly just because the talent level never matched the results last year, and that's why they made all the trades in the first place. I just feel like they have enough talent. It's just actually realizing that talent. I said on another show that the Twins front office had the ability to turn players, draft picks, into good prospects, but not turning those prospects into big leaguers. They have big leaguers who have been big-time prospects, even Alan Roden. You got Walker Jenkins, who hasn't debuted yet, Emmanuel Rodriguez. If any of those guys can come close to scratching the potential they're supposed to have based on Baseball America's lists and that sort of thing, this should be a fairly decent team, and the rest of the division is not a gauntlet. Certainly the Tigers have pitching, and certainly the White Sox are making their way with some prospects, but same deal there. They got to develop just the same way the Twins need to develop. The rest of the division is not so difficult that I don't think the Twins couldn't be right around 500. So I'm leaning toward over that number, but I am also willing to look in the mirror and say I am extremely optimistic just based on the talent level. Now, again, realizing that talent versus just having that talent, that's $1 million question.
Brandon, from where I sit, the Twins have had two problems for a while now. One, some of their best players just can't stay healthy. I mean, and then if you get a healthy year out of a Buxton or out of a Royce Lewis, the rest of the team doesn't follow through. And you're right, in Southwest Florida, where Mark is based and where I used to be based, I mean, we would see all the prospects with the Miracle and now, the Muscles, and the Twins always were loaded with prospects. And a lot of those guys get to Minneapolis and they're just okay. They're not what, the folks thought they were going to be. That's kind of like the Yankees problem that, they're touted in the minors, but when they get to the majors, they're just, I mean, isn't that a player development issue at the major league level?
Yeah, I mean, in some respects, it is. I mean, obviously, baseball is difficult, and each rung you go up the ladder, it's going to be difficult to maintain your performance. But you talk about Jason Dominguez and Anthony Volpe. Those are the two prospects where the Yankee fans are kind of like, well, what's going on here? And then, Spencer Jones next and George Lombard. Are those guys going to be the next ones to disappoint fans? Now, as far as development, yeah, I think part of the answer is, yes, baseball is difficult and it's at the highest level. But even if you could normalize for how development should happen, you should still hit on 25-30% of these guys as big league regulars. And I think the Twins are probably falling short of that mark. So there is something in the prospect finishing process. Now, having that area be St. Paul, which is so close, you'd think you could have, a little bit more streamlining of that, A to B to C process that, maybe as time goes on, that will just naturally get better. But I think too, the fact that they've, taken and made some changes on that side, at least they're aware of the issue. It's just a matter of, awareness is the first part. You have to know there's a problem before you can address the problem. I feel like they know there's a problem and are in the process of addressing the problem. It's just, what's that timeline look like? And again, the specter of who knows how much baseball there'll be in 2027, setting that back is also problematic.
I think for the Twins, it's more problematic because they're counting, since they're not going to spend money, they need to hit on more of their young guys. We follow the Rays and Marlins closely. They hit. The Marlins finally, for the first time in a while, seem to be hitting. The Rays seem to consistently hit on their young guys. That's why we think this is more of a problem. Finally, you sound more glass half full than half empty. You really think this team can finish in the top 3 in the Central? I mean, just losing Lopez is a massive loss despite everything they traded. I mean, if Buxton stays healthy, Royce Lewis stays healthy, I mean, don't they need a lot to go right to be 500?
I think how much went wrong last year tinges that a bit, because they had enough talent to win the division last year and just didn't perform. Now, whoever that falls on, I always say the players, because the players play, but you do set them up to be successful with how you use them. It was frustrating watching a team that should have been just as good as everybody else in the AL Central take a dive like it did. They traded off the bullpen and a couple of free agents to be. And so part of me is like, okay, can they build a bullpen? And they've been working on that. A bunch of different minor league guys that have big league track records, Liam Hendricks, Andrew Chafin, to name a few. I think they have enough bodies to win 80, 81 games. That's not sexy. That's not exciting. I just think, though, that I'm acknowledging I'm the high man on them. It's just, I covered the team in 2013 when there was no talent on the roster. I don't see that talent level, even relative to the rest of the league right now. There's so much more talent. Again, if they were to win 68 games, I recognize that talent didn't perform. But from a talent standpoint, they should not bottom out this year. And that's kind of where I'm going to plant my flag.
Brandon Warne preparing for more snow while covering the Twins. You can read his work at accesstwins.substack.com. Follow Brandon on X. He's a good follow. Brandon_Warne, WARNE. Brandon, thanks for doing this. Hopefully the glass is half full and not half empty. Who likes covering a bad team, right?
Gentlemen, be good.
Thank you, Brandon Warne, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton.
72.5 is their over-under.
Oh, not even 73 and a
No,
half?
73.5. I'm 73.5.
I'll go under.
Yeah,
I think that's close. I think that's in the ballpark, but I expect them to trade more people at the deadline. I think the Pohlads are going to cut even more payroll.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. I actually haven't made the bet yet. We did pretty good with our baseball over-unders, David. The White Sox are 66.5. I think that's an overplay.
I do too.
There are people that think they might be the third best team in the division this year. So I don't know if they're there yet with Kansas City, Cleveland, and Detroit, but it's a division with the Twins, so you can get a lot of wins there.
Well, let me ask you this. If I were to tell you my $20, bet on the Twins to finish third or last?
I'd bet last.
I would too.
I'd bet last.
I would too. So we're definitely glass half empty on the Twins. And losing their number 2 starter here, I mean, that's massive.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what's that, 180 innings? That's
right. Last year, you only got 75 out of him, but the 3 years before that, he was $180 plus. Yeah, very durable. So Miller and Moulton. By the way, some NFL news, and we can expound upon it if you're sticking with us for the bonus hour. So Mahomes restructured his contract. And remember, his contract is in a way in which I don't know if they take salary and turn it to cash bonus or they do it the other way around. But anyway, Mahomes just cleared up $44 million in cap space for the Chiefs. Restructured.
They needed it.
Contract.
They were $57 million below the cap, for crying out loud.
Well, he just helped them to the tune of $44 million. Now, I don't know the specifics. I don't know if they added years and they're kicking the can further down the road or if they're just taking, salary and turning it into signing bonus. I don't know. But so the Chiefs just found $44 million in cap room, and the Niners will be the home team in Mexico City. We were there 3 years ago when the Niners were the home team in Mexico City. And let me tell you, wow, do they like the Niners in Mexico City.
That's fantastic. I love that. I love when these teams actually play international games and there's a fan base.
Huge.
I'm fascinated by this whole Australia thing. I really am. If this is going to work there, because the games in Europe, there doesn't seem to be a team that they gravitate towards. It seems like it's a bunch of Americans going, "Holy crap, the NFL is here. Let's go to a game."
I was amazed at how many jerseys. Okay, because we walked into the stadium with the fans, and I was amazed how many Niners jerseys there were 3-4 years ago. I will say this was just before Purdy, so I think it was 4 years ago, because the ladies loved Jimmy Garoppolo. Loved Jimmy Garoppolo.
I wonder if his sister-in-law does. Miller and Moulton, the Diamond District bonus hour is next.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind, right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local Glass Doctor for
Your
details.
roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Hey, Southwest Florida, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. For you that haven't tried us yet, you gotta get in here and try my favorite 5 Chicago-style sandwiches. I got the Italian beef, I got the Italian sausage, the sausage and beef, the Maxwell Street Polish, and our soon-to-be famous breaded steak. Call us at either one of our locations in Bonita Springs and Fort Myers. And guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced jardiniere.
At the Diamond District, we have that one-of-a-kind ring that she's been dreaming of.
Whether you're beginning to think about proposing or already have something in mind, we're here to help.
Our sales team listens, educates, and guides you to the perfect engagement ring so you don't have to feel intimidated.
We guarantee that whatever you're looking for, you'll find it here.
So when it's time to pop the big question, come visit us, Jason and Todd, at the Diamond District.
At the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I don't think I've ever seen the paper and someone put a post up just saying, hey, Godfather and all these movies, revisit some of these. And there's a clip that they're showing with he and Hanks or Keaton rather. And he's like, I got this type of columnist. I got that. You know what I need is a dead columnist.
I need a columnist to shut the up.
Yes. Yes.
It was awesome.
Oh God, that's great. That is funny. That's what I just watched. That is something. Yeah, there's I think it's on, and someone brought it up in the chat room or in the message board today, that there's an ABA documentary. I think it's on Prime. I don't think it's on Netflix because I've not been on Netflix hardly at all, but maybe it's Netflix. I don't know, because it might be on HBO, whatever it is. People think it's pretty good. I'll probably watch that.
Well, I know that last week, I think it dropped Friday or Saturday, because I know Julius Irving was doing promo stuff for it. I'm in.
Oh, I'm in. Totally.
All in. Yeah.
Schifrin won gold, by the way, David.
Awesome. Fantastic. That's awesome. So I'm so glad.
Yeah, me too. You don't want to see someone continue to just spit the bit.
Especially who's the best at what she does. Mhm.
I don't know if that's me.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It's time for the Diamond District bonus hour, fourth and final hour of Miller and Moulton on this hump day in Jacksonville, Tampa, St. Pete, and Fort Myers, Naples. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. You know, I should have asked Rick Church at the end of our last segment. We had a Twins beat person on. Rick is a Minnesota sports fan. Vikings, T-Wolves, Twins. Just curious. Glass half full, glass half empty, apathetic, angry, hopeful. What's your emotions and thoughts about the Twins?
A little of all those things, David. Really. I mean, I appreciated our guest kind of giving the politically correct answer, but baseball 1000% for teams like the Twins desperately needs a salary cap because, like you said, then that's going to force the bottom feeders out. And, I follow a lot of Minnesota Twins stuff on social media, obviously. And even if the Twins post something from their official account, like a happy birthday to a player, like 1/3 of the comments just say, sell the team. It's become the mantra, and it's depressing. So please, I'll sit out 5 years if I have to get, because what do we have to look forward to if there's no salary cap? Nothing.
Well, and floor also. I think in your case,
Well,
it's
yeah,
even
of course,
floor.
Of course.
Well, and you're where I was with my Tigers in a huge gap where they were just bad and not spending, and it sucks when you go into a season and you have no hope for your team. I mean, it makes a long summer.
It really
does. And we're in a weird spot being in Florida. Most of us are from somewhere else, but when you're up in Minnesota or you're up in Michigan, and I think I told the story, David. I was on vacation in northern Michigan, and here I am at breakfast at the Lake Leland or the Leland Lodge or whatever the hell it was. And this is up in the north of Traverse City. This is the middle of effing nowhere. And here are 4 women at the breakfast table that are all 70 plus, if not older, having a lengthy discussion about the Detroit Tigers. Unless you're in Minnesota or Michigan or some of these places, this is what they do all summer. It's what they've done their whole effing lives.
Well, Twins fandom also is Western Wisconsin, all of North Dakota, a good chunk of South Dakota, and even into parts of Iowa, which they split with the Cubs and maybe some Cardinals fans. I mean, Twins fandom throughout that region. I mean, Twins fans go even into Montana, okay, and Idaho, before the Rockies came to be. So the Twins fandom is a good chunk of this country. It's why they have the biggest radio network of all the major league teams. Now, I know people don't listen to the radio like they used to, blah, blah, blah. But I mean,
but they do for baseball, by the way.
Yeah,
they do for baseball.
But also, you should have seen, like, the Twins caravan took a month. I mean, once they left town and they started visiting places, I mean, they were on the road for a month. Like, Kirby would agree to do a week, okay? And then Brad Radke would agree to do a week. And I mean, Johan Santana would agree. I mean, the Twins caravan was on the road for damn near a month.
Speaking of the Cubs, hate to do this on air. We may have to, if you can't find a Cubs guest, we may just have to do a spring training Cubs Bucks update all with Roy Cummings tomorrow.
Okay.
Because he's a Cubs fanatic. He knows him. I would argue he knows him as well as anybody that covers him on a beat with the Evans situation. And plus, we can get a handful of Jim Leland spring training stories out of him.
Well, that's true. He does owe us that. He keeps teasing it. We keep teasing it. We need to commit to it. Tomorrow seems like a good day. For the record, these are the specifics of Mahomes' deal. His cap hit this year was going to be over $78 million. It's now 34.65. So, $43.5 million is immediate cap relief. However, they did it by converting $54.5 million of his salary, which I think is all but $1 million. They converted $54.5 million of his salary into a signing bonus. So he's probably playing for the minimum this year because he's already been paid. What it will do, however, Mark, is since he's under contract through the rest of the decade, it will add $11 million to his cap figure for each year the rest of the decade. So don't be surprised if they do it again next year, because, by the way, his cap hit for next year is now over $85 million.
And David, this is fascinating to me because I understand that the accounting people do a great job with this. And that's what they're paid by these organizations to do. But this is a team that has needs, not just this year, but beyond. So how do you fill the spots for tackle? How do you get another pass rusher there? How do you find a receiver, for the love of God? Now, I've seen a lot of people pointing to them taking the running back for Notre Dame in the draft if he's there. I think that makes a ton of sense.
Yep.
So I just wonder, I don't want to say this is New Orleans Saints-esque, but when you're talking those type of cap numbers, how much longer can you keep kicking the can down the road, David?
All right. As Pat talks about, it's percentage. So like this year, his cap hit is $34.65 million. Well, the cap's going to be over 300.
That's 10% basically, right?
Well, yeah, it's 11.5. Okay. So that's not bad, right? Okay. For your quarterback. I mean, isn't the number that Pat keeps talking about 16%? You got to keep your highest paid player on the team that counts no more than 1/6 of your cap.
And you can't have 3 players over 30%. Those are kind of the two numbers he lives by.
Right. So, Mahomes is 11 to 12% of their cap. Now, next year with an $85 million cap figure, you figure they're going to do the same thing. This is, by the way, the 4th straight year they've played this game. The 4th straight
And he did
year.
a deal that was very team friendly initially. So that allows both he and they to do these things going forward.
Oh, yeah. I mean, most people thought that the Chiefs got one over on Mahomes because his average salary, I think, was in the mid 40s. And now you look at where he is salary wise. So, they'll probably have to do it again for each of the next 3 years. And likely they will probably be kicking the can into the 2030s. Well, Mahomes is just turning 30 now. So when the 2030s begin, I believe he'll be turning 34. I mean, you figure he's still going to be with them for another 3-4 years, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, aren't you counting, if you're the Chiefs, you're counting on Mahomes to play to 37, 38, which is like 2033 or so? And you're counting on 8 more years of Mahomes, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, but anyway, that's how Mahomes' contract got restructured. Those are the numbers. Now next year, if by chance next year they said, you know what, we're not going to kick the can down the road. We're tired of that. We're going to eat it. If the cap keeps going at 10%, then the cap for next season would be, and by next season, I mean 2027. If the cap for 2027 would then be in the 330s, well, his contract would be 85. Now you're talking over 40% of the cap. Now, well, I'm sorry. No, now you're talking 25%, over 25% of the cap.
Yeah, and that's dangerous because then when you just look at the 3 players, there's no way you'd be 40% with 3 players. You just would. Someone's got to get paid.
By the way, I asked you earlier how much you'd be willing to pay if you were the Bucs to keep Mike Evans on a 1-year deal, and you want to go like 12.
But I'd go 15. I'd go 15 right now.
If you're the Chiefs, what do you do with Kelsey if he decides, and now, for whatever it's worth, all right, people are reading some of what he has said and done as if he will come back in 2026. For what it's worth, I think he should retire. Okay.
Is he a free agent this year? Help me out, David.
He is.
So he's a free agent, David.
But
I wouldn't offer him more than 5 to 7, and I'm not joking. He's not worth the money he's been getting the last couple of years. He's not. I know he's a big part of their offense, but it's not necessarily because of him. It's because they've not been able to find weapons around him.
All right. Last year, all right, he signed a 2-year contract for 34 a couple years ago, so that's why he's a free agent. Last year, his base salary was $4.5 million, but his cap hit was 20. So if we're down to 1-year deals, so there's no, we're not kicking the tire down the road and what have you. Okay. And so the last contract he signed, his average salary was 17. What's your 1-year offer for Travis Kelce where he doesn't feel insulted?
I think he's going to feel insulted with my offer because I'd offer 6. He's not worth more than that. He's just not. You want to go play somewhere else for more? Good luck to you. Because I don't think there's going to be teams beating his door down to sign him, and I don't think he'd go anywhere else. I think he'd rather retire than play for another team.
I agree. I'm fine with that, by the way. Just because, I mean, let's face it, him and Mahomes do have a connection. He probably catches 25 first down passes a year. That has value. So, okay, I'd go 1 for 6. I don't think that's what Kelce's thinking, though. I think Kelce's thinking like 1 for 12.
I agree with you 100%. And I think he'd have a very uncomfortable time sitting in my office with me telling him flat out what he's worth.
So, Bears watching. Free agency technically starts, I believe, 3 weeks today. But you can start negotiating with guys on the Monday, the 9th, and they can start signing on the 11th. So we'll see. Some teams, like the Bucs, can sign Mike Evans now. Nobody else can talk to him, but the Bucs can. Same with the Chiefs with Kelce. But believe Monday, March 9th is when, if you're a free agent, the whole league can talk to you. And you can start signing contracts 3 weeks from today, Wednesday, March 11th.
And let's be honest, if we think that Kelce or Evans or anybody else out there who's exclusively allowed to negotiate with just their team right now, if their agent's not out getting feelers, then their agent's not doing their job.
What did Pat talk about? He's going to the combine next week, and he just watches the agents in the restaurants and all the GMs that they talk to.
It's his favorite part of the week, he said. That in the interview. He loves interviewing the guys. He really does. He gets into these interviews, and I think I've always thought it was good radio. I think they do a great job Pat does a great job of gearing football down on these kids, and I find that to be fun. But at night, he just likes to belly up and watch the agents and the general managers, and it gives him a pretty damn good idea of who's going where. Miller and Moulton, the Diamond District Bonus Hour.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Adam, I agree.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was a day when in a little more than 15 minutes. We got some games, some picks. Spoiler alert for those of you who want to watch your Olympics in prime time or watch it later and find out by watching the result. You may want to, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute. How long should they step away for, Mark?
I don't know. I mean, if they want to step away, step away. Turn your radio down. When you come back on, if we're still talking about it, turn your radio down again. We're not in the spoiler alert business. We do sports.
No.
Things happen live during our show. Deal.
Yeah. What he said.
Don't raise your voice to me. I'm going Mick Cronin on you right now.
I'm going to say it again. I think everything up until last night, I think UCLA was okay with. I don't think UCLA is okay with how he looked last night.
Well, and David, if UCLA is like a network, it's blowing up this morning on X. Everybody, every single different outlet has put a clip of it and kind of taken a shot at him. So, I mean, it is, I don't know if it's trending, but it seems like it's damn close to being, if you know what I'm saying.
But the spoiler alert is for Michaela Schifrin. She won the slalom. She got her gold. After going 0 for 6 in the 22 games and 0 for 2 in her first two events in these games, she's the best slalom skier in the world. She's arguably the best of all time. And she won her gold. All right. Now, she won medals in 2018, but she had a rough 8 years, 0 for 8 medaling in Olympic events until just a moment ago. She won gold in the slalom. That'll be great. 7th gold for the U.S. in these Olympic Games.
And good for her. I mean, she, after her first Olympic, there was talk of her being the most decorated Olympic skier ever, and it didn't happen for her. So great to see the gold today. The other fun Olympic story, David, that you will see at some point today, and it's a sport that we've maybe never talked about on the show, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But in cross-country skiing, a dog jumped onto the course and ran the final stretch of the race with 2 skiers. And then as the 2 skiers finish and, they kind of collapse, they're exhausted, the dog kind of goes near one of them and then does what dogs do, sniffed the other one right in the bum. And then the dog took off. Fantastic.
It is. That is outstanding. By the way, when Joe Shad did this poll question yesterday, we admitted we were stealing it. Okay. And we stole it almost word for word. Joe Shad and now Miller and Moulton ask, so how much of the 27 baseball season are you willing to sacrifice to get a salary cap / floor? Joe got more results than we do. And his audience was 60%. I'll sacrifice the whole season. And it was like 8-10%. I'll sacrifice half a season. But 30% of his audience was like, no, not a game. Get this done. Yeah, our audience is a little more hardcore. Right now, over 70% of our audience is like, I'll take as long as you need. About 8% is half a season. But you add the two together, 80% of our audience is willing to sacrifice at least a half a season, if not a season or more, to fix financially how baseball goes about their business. Only 20% of our audience is like, not a game. Get it done.
I've had a lot of baseball fans, David, whether it's on the text line or to me personally on X, respond, it's one thing to answer it if you're not a baseball person. And most of our audience, I would argue, is baseball at best would be their second favorite sport. That's if we include football and college football in the same ranking. But when baseball people are saying, I'm a baseball guy, whatever it takes. I mean, to me, that's such a strong answer. When baseball guy is willing to sacrifice a season to fix what they think's broken.
By the way, quick change of subject. We didn't bring this guy up. I don't think we did yesterday. You might have, but I don't remember it. We were talking about Kenneth Walker. Would you tag him, yay or nay?
Right.
The running back tag is 14 and change. How about if you're the Jags with Travis Etienne? Would you tag him if you had to?
No.
Really, for 1 year?
No, not to give him that kind of money. I don't think he's worth that much money.
Okay, but how much is it really? I mean, in terms of how much more is the tag than what would you pay him if he wasn't going to be
I would
free
rather
agent?
give him 2 for 20 guaranteed than give him 14 for 1 year, David.
Okay, so you're willing to commit 10 to him.
Right.
Okay.
But I think, Pat's worn me out a little bit with once you pay a guy a number, the agent thinks that's what he's worth. And I'm not willing to give $14 million to Travis Etienne. I'm not. He's not worth it. I'm sorry.
Okay, I agree. That's rich. I mean, that's more than Cook. That's more than Jacobs. I'm with you. Here's the thing, though. I think next year is really important for this franchise in this sense. They haven't been able to put back-to-back playoff appearances together in a long time. When Trevor had his first breakthrough season, and then the next year they're 8-3, and it really looked like this franchise had turned it around. And then they fell apart and they missed the playoffs, and we all know what happened with Doug Marrone. And they win the division, 10 wins. They win 2 playoff games. They're 6 minutes from the Super Bowl. If the officiating had been proper, they would have gone to the Super Bowl. Okay, and then what'd they do the next year? I think they won like 6 games. Okay, and they never had a winning season again with that core. Could I convince you to overpay $4 million out of a $302 million cap just to keep him for next year because we got to follow is up?
David, you couldn't. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That is too much money. And I look at that. First off, the points that you make about how important the year is, I think you almost undersold that because Houston's not going anywhere. And Indianapolis, up until Daniel Jones getting hurt, was a serious contender. So to just sit there and say that it's Jacksonville's division to win is ludicrous to me.
Yes.
It really is.
No, it's a very competitive division now. Right.
It turned into one overnight, it seems.
Right. And Tennessee, they're probably going to finish last again, but they're going to be much better next year than they were this past year.
David, you could argue right now that the team that loses to Tennessee is the team that might not win the division, and they're going to get somebody. And I know our Jags fans right now are going, oh, don't say that.
Yeah.
Don't say that. Because you know who they always get?
Yeah, seemingly. So I was just curious about, I don't think anybody, I don't even think the most diehard Jags fan thinks that he's worth $14 million a year. But if the alternative is no Travis Etienne at all, could you grit your teeth and spend $3 to $5 million more than you want to?
I couldn't.
Okay,
I
fair
couldn't.
enough.
I think there are other areas that they need to spend.
Fair enough.
I'd like to see one more pass rusher there.
Plus they're going to lose Lloyd there in the middle, so he's going to have to be replaced also, and they need more help in the secondary. I mean, the Jags have already come out, by the way, and said that Travis Hunter is going to be primarily a corner,
which I think is a good move.
Well,
you can have packages for him, and I think that will be the most effective way to use him.
Well, we talked about it. 1, they need him more at corner. 2, there's a big debate as to which position he's better at. Okay, but also 3, they've got 3 wide receivers, and we talked about it. If he's their 4th wide receiver, wow, look at how good they are. But Jags have already come out and said his primary position going forward is corner.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind, right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local Glass Doctor for
Get
details.
ready, Southwest Florida. The Southwest Florida Ag Expo is back. Now's the time to save big with the Mega Pass. Your all-in-one ticket to the fun, one low price. Get you one-day admission and unlimited midway rides. Mega Passes available online through February 26th at swflagexpo.com. Don't wait. Grab yours. Get ready for roots, rides, and real fun. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Not do that, I'm sure that was in the scout. But then for him to bounce back, make that shot late, that layup, what were your thoughts on just that whole season?
Actually, my thoughts were there's this hill that's right outside of Moody between Moody and BBR. I don't know if you guys see it. Yeah. A couple of our teams actually train, like they do conditioning on it. And I was wondering if we could get them to go out there at the timeout, run a couple hills and bring them back and then put it back in, from missing the switch. That's actually was actually on my mind when it happened. But it's just accountability. It's nothing personal. It's not. I can't believe it. I hate you. That's not it. It's what we talked about is the switch. And on that particular play, it's crucial to switch because if you don't know, McKinnon is going to shoot you through. Are we clear?
That's gotta be.
Talk about echo.
Even Bud Elliott reposted the Cronin thing with basically he's going to get fired. I mean, I follow far more people on X than you do, but I mean, when I scrolled down, David, I saw the clip 7-8 times.
Yeah. UCLA basketball is very image conscious.
Pinellas School District will enact a new policy requiring student athletes to pay a participation fee. for high school sports. What the hell? Let's make sure they all just play travel, you morons.
So in order to play on your high school varsity team, you're going to have to pay?
That's what it's saying. I don't know how much the fee is. I didn't look at it, but I get a Tampa, I don't know if it's the Tampa Times, like a email newsletter every day. Well, and Bud doesn't know college hoop, Javier, but the fact that he's chiming in on it, I think, makes it noteworthy. That he doesn't give a damn about college basketball, and he's still talking about it. UCLA campus, beautiful, huh? Okay, if you say so. And I wouldn't second to none. Wow, that's a stretch. As coming from someone who was at a beautiful campus and knows there are many more prettier than East Lansing. Places like Washington State apparently are just, I don't know if it's Washington State. There's one of the out west schools that's apparently very impressive.
Paula, if you get a chance, spend an hour at Pepperdine.
That's where I was. It's in Malibu.
Ooh-wee. I don't know how they ever lose a recruit. It's beautiful and scenic, if you know what I mean.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Last segment of the show on this hump day, 22 minutes till the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X.
Couple of poll questions today, having some fun. Tony Clark, the MLBPA executive director, resigned because, well, he was sleeping with his sister-in-law. We asked the question, would you sleep with your sister-in-law? Thankfully, 91% of you would not. The other 9%, we need to talk. We really do. And then asking about baseball. Stealing a question from Joe Shad. Thank you, Joe. How much of the season would you sacrifice, or how much baseball would you sacrifice in order to get a salary cap? Nothing, half a season, whatever it takes. Over 70% of you are saying whatever it takes. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
I would argue it's one of the first novels, if you will. I think it's a novel that I ever read. Today in 1885, Mark Twain publishes The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. That was a school book. I don't remember what grade, but pretty young in school that we read that. 1928, Sonja Henning of Norway wins gold medal at the Winter Games. It would be her first of 3 consecutive titles in the event. Kind of made her a worldwide star. Today in 44, David, you love this one. You know it, but you didn't remember it was this day, obviously. The Cincinnati Reds signed Joe Nuxel to a contract. He was 15. He signed it just one day after playing in a high school basketball game. He would debut later that year. 1951, a huge scandal. 3 CCNY basketball players, City College of New York, admit to accepting bribes.
CCNY was the best basketball program in the country also, because I think they won back-to-back NITs, and that was bigger in the NCAA tournament at the time. Yeah, nearly brought the sport down.
Exactly. 1960, Walter O'Malley, the Dodgers owner, purchases Chavez Ravine for $494,000. I'd say that was a pretty good investment. Pretty good land buy there. Worked out well.
Yeah, it's worked out okay.
Today in 65, Frank Gifford announces his retirement from football for broadcasting. Today in 73, Richard Petty wins his fourth Daytona 500 by more than 2 laps.
Remember we used to have Dave Despain on, and he would talk about how many races back in the day were won by laps.
Today in 1974, Kiss releases their self-titled album. Had Cold Gin on it, for those wondering. I may be singing Cold Gin for the rest of the day. 2 years later, that same band play their first concert in their hometown venue of Madison Square Garden in New York City. We'll say for the record, Kiss Alive recorded at Cobo Hall in Detroit. Brought it up earlier in the show. Maybe the most significant day in racing. Today in 1979, Petty would win the 500. We would remember it, however, for Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison colliding with one another on the final lap and then brawling in the infield. It was the first 500-mile race broadcast from start to finish. 1990, Derek Cope wins the 500 because Earnhardt shreds his tire on the last lap.
Oh, he's got a big lead. That was the one. That of all the times he didn't win the 500, that was the most painful also because it was Derek Cope. I mean, come on. Gotta be kidding.
And it was today, 25 years ago, at the 500, that the crash on the last lap took the life of Dale Earnhardt. Michael Waltrip would win the race. DW was in the booth, excited initially about Michael winning and then realizing what may have happened. It was surreal to watch on television. There's no two ways about it. It really was.
Well, the whole thing was surreal because Fox had to sign off, and then you're flipping around cable channels, and you're like, who's got coverage of this? And eventually everybody's covering it. I remember I had a radio remote for the station that we're on in Southwest Florida. And when it was over, I raced home, and my wife said something about, hey, did Earnhardt get hurt bad? And I go, I don't think so. I said, the crash and he was in the infield and what have you. And she goes, we may have to, I don't know, you might be wrong. And we went to a nearby restaurant to have dinner, and they had all the network newscasts on, and they were all live from the Daytona hospital. And I'm like, oh, man.
The Gipper, George Gipp, and Enzo Ferrari would have celebrated birthdays today. A long list of not big names have birthdays today. I'll get you all of them. Yoko Ono is 93. Golfer and then golf analyst Julie Rankin, 81. Dennis D. Young from Styx, 79. Sybil Shepherd and John Hughes are both 76. How big Moonlighting was? That was a monster show.
Oh, my goodness. I used to take my dinner break at the local TV station to watch Moonlighting, and that was like 9 o'clock at night. And people were like, you can't take a dinner break at 9 o'clock. I'm like, got all my work done. I'll edit at 10. I'm watching Moonlighting.
And John Hughes, the movie voice of my generation. I mean, there's just no two ways about it, with all the Ferris Bueller's and Breakfast Club and 16 Candles and all the movies that he did. Juice Newton, David, playing with the Queen of Hearts. She's 74. John Travolta is 72. Goaltender Andy Moog is 66. Matt Dillon, 61. The great Dr. Dre is 60. Matt Dillon, 62. Dr. Dre, 61. Molly Ringwald from all of those movies. She's 58. And Le'Veon Bell is 34. And Jaime Jaquez Jr. is 25 years old today. What did I miss, David?
Did you have Pluto? Happy
no,
birthday,
I did not.
Pluto.
It's Pluto's birthday. I saw earlier that it was Pluto Day, and I didn't see that anywhere.
Well, it was discovered today in 1930. And I'm sorry, I still count it.
It's a planet to me, damn it.
You're damn right. We've got 9. Okay, not ending with Neptune. No, we're putting a period on it. That's what Pluto is. Pluto's the period on the solar system. Okay, deal with it.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
David, a man after your own heart for the good. We go to Akron, Ohio, where according to lotto officials, he kept using the same 6 numbers to play classic lotto drawings for 22 years.
No.
Despite winning only small prizes occasionally, he kept playing them because he is, and I quote, stubborn. He won a $3.5 million jackpot.
Yes! That's my inspiration. I'm stuck playing my late father-in-law's numbers. All right.
You're way past 22 years, by the way. Your father-in-law's been gone for damn near that long, hasn't he?
It'll be 25 years in May. Yeah.
I was going to say.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's okay. It's all right. If later this summer, little $3.5 million prize, I'd take that. Throw some money your way, pay some taxes. We'd make it work.
We go to Great Britain for the bad, where an Amazon delivery van took a wrong turn while following GPS directions and ended up stuck on mudflats used as a shooting range by Britain's military defense. That damn GPS. I see those trucks all the time. There's a back way into where I play golf, but you've got to be a member or live there to have the code to get in. Those damn drivers get stuck there all the time, and you know they're honked off. It's not getting stuck in the mud on a shooting range, but it's getting stuck nonetheless. And finally, the ugly. We run to the border in Estero. That's right, Taco Bell, where Evan Villano was running for the border after a night of drinking. And a state trooper who was in the drive-through line reported that a black Infiniti in front of his patrol car failed to move forward. After activating a horn and a siren with no response, the trooper exited his vehicle to check on the driver. That's when Evan was found asleep at the wheel and did not initially respond to verbal commands. No word on whether he ordered a burrito supreme or 3 taco supremes, but either way, his blood alcohol level measured twice the legal limit. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, February 18th, and it's brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department. Hiring new officers, offering ridiculously good pay, overtime opportunities aplenty, great benefits, other jobs available. For more information, go to capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
By the way, Schifrin won the slalom by 1.5 seconds. I mean, these races are determined by hundredths of a second, tenths of a second. She won the slalom by 1.5 seconds. Damn. Good for her.
Canada gets going here in like 10 minutes for their quarterfinal game.
Right. They should cruise, though.
Oh, yeah. This is Czechia, who they already pounded.
Yeah. And we're the ones with the tough quarter at 3 o'clock. We got the third best team in the tournament. We're playing Sweden, who, by the way, we haven't beaten in international competition since 1960.
1960, folks.
Hello. 0-6-2, I believe, are we against Sweden in international competition. Okay, the 4 nations doesn't count. There are 2 really good games back-to-back on the 4-letter network. Arkansas at Bama at 7. And BYU at Arizona at 9. By the way, Arizona's a 12.5-point favorite at home. That seems like a lot of points, doesn't it?
Well, haven't they lost 2 in a row here?
Yeah, that's probably why. Yeah,
I'll lay them.
Okay, we have 6 system plays. Kansas at Oklahoma State, Virginia at Georgia Tech, St. John's at Marquette, Vandy at Missouri, Illinois at USC, and the Zags. By the way, how are they still 11th after losing to Portland? Not the Trailblazers also.
By the way, none of our system plays even begin until 9 p.m. tonight.
and most of them are decent sized numbers. There's only 2 that are really single digits. So we'll see how we do. The 6 system plays tonight. We did 4-1 last night. Would have been 6-1, but 2 teams that were getting like a point or 2 ended up laying a point or 2 by tip off.
All right. Put you on the spot. Does the U.S. get it done today against Sweden, or is this the end of the U.S. Olympic team in Milan?
3-2 U.S.
4-1 U.S. with an empty netter.
Ooh, okay. And
as long as Swayman doesn't play, the goaltending will be fine. He sucks.
No, he's not playing. Come on. They gave him the one game. It was against an inferior opponent. He played terribly, kept the opponent in it. We still won 6-3. No, he's done. No, he got his game. You know, it was interesting in that Miracle doc that we watched a couple of weeks ago. That was the first one that I saw where they interviewed the backup goalie, Steve Januzak.
And told a great story. Didn't play in a game, and he played for Brooks. He won titles for Herb Brooks at Minnesota.
The year before, Minnesota won the Natty. He was the goalie.
He was the guy. And he said something to the effect of, when Herb Brooks was doing an interview or talking, basically he said, we'll go as far as Craig can take us. And that's when he realized that he wasn't the number one. But the other story that he told, despite not playing, despite not being a part of that, really and truly, he met his wife at the Olympics. He met his wife. They're still married to this day. And he flat out said, I wouldn't change any of it for anything. I met the love of my life.
I remembered thinking, like, we had a game against Norway, which I think was today, and we won 7-2, or Romania, something like that. We had like Romania, I think we had Poland, and I wondered, were they going to give Januzak a game?
And they never did.
And
not 1 minute. He didn't play 1 second.
Nope. Got that gold medal, though.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Miller and Moulton. Miss any of the show? MillerandMoulton.com or anywhere that you download your podcast to find them. A little baseball today, a little NASCAR today, a little football today, a little Seth Everett today. Kind of covered all the bases.
Yeah. You want Roy Cummings tomorrow?
I do.
All right, fine. We'll talk a couple minutes of Bucks. We'll do a little Cubs, and then we'll get a couple Jim Leland stories.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Cool. And we'll have the aftermath of the U.S.-Sweden. Will the Stars and Stripes still be playing hockey? Have a great rest of your hump day, Miller and Moulton.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your